the game tonight, win or lose for the Brisbane Lions?
It's interesting with Dane Zorko that he actually, like we just saw his kick-ins and he's good at those. But when he gets it in general play, he uses it really quickly. Like he gets possession, balances, and then finds a target. He doesn't hold on to the ball for 5 seconds thinking about it. And that's part of the reason the Lions can start that surge off halfback. His precise kicking into the free player quickly and accurately.
283rd match for Dane tonight, passing Luke Powell this week as the 4th most games for the Brisbane Lions. Couldn't get a game early doors, Nathan. He was dominating down at Southport, and he's become a premiership player, a stalwart, and a great of the footy club.
Yeah, we talk about battles of persistence, like young Sam Davidson, who's come through with the Dogs early this year, and players that have had to find their way. Brody Mychek overlooked for 6 or 7 drafts before getting an opportunity, played keep back and then gets a chance to keep forward. But Dane Zorko just kept winning BNFs,
and
kept improving his game.
I was saying, Bucks, he's standing next to Levi Ashcroft. He and his brother Will, they just came straight in as 18-year-olds and looked like they'd all been playing for a decade. Just really mature, good decision makers, really good young players.
Lee, the great question in footy when you're playing Collingwood is what do you do with Nick Dacos? If you're coaching against Collingwood tonight, what are you trying to do?
Well, you're trying to, you can't seem to stop him getting ball in hand. You're trying to stop him being really creative. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes when he gets a lot of possessions in and around stoppages, he's under pressure every time he gets the ball. You want to get him in a little bit of space if you can. So that's why I wonder about that running off halfback, whether that gets even more out of him. But anyway, we'll wait and see. But in terms, from the Lions' point of view, you just got to try and limit the effectiveness of his disposals. It's almost impossible to stop him getting ball in hand.
What are you looking forward to, Nathan?
Oh, look, I'm really enjoying the Lions forward line. Logan Morris has only played 20-odd games and he's become a really important part of their makeup already. Rayner, Bailey, who Jace was talking about in the pre-match. These guys, Charlie Cameron's probably been a little bit off. He hasn't been as impactful as we've normally seen, but they're still just so damaging. There are players everywhere that with absolute hurt factors. So how do they stack up on a night like tonight? Beautiful conditions. There'll be free-flowing ball movement attempted. Brisbane aren't going to sit on their heels, are they? They're going to use it fast, no matter whether it's a long kick or whether they're changing the angles. And Collingwood will do the same coming back the other way.
Yeah, I think they're both pretending to try and play the same. The Lions will be trying to press up when Collingwood are coming off half back to make sure that they might be able to turn the ball over in the middle of the ground a little bit. The pressure ratings are always a critical factor. I love that as an indication of attitude and effort and intensity in your game. So who can put that on the board?
It is, and Craig McRae's spoken about it quite often, and Jamie Elliott in an interview during the week. Pressure and territory are the two focuses for Collingwood. So at times they will slow it down through their attacking mids, take the extra 2 or 3 little hit-ups so that when they go inside 50, they've really squeezed up that front third and look for that as in their game style as well.
Perfect night for footy at the Gabba. Brisbane sit 5 and zip, top of the ladder. Collingwood 4 and 1, sitting 4th. Sell-out crowd, and you're now going to hear the voice of Australia's premier sports caller on a Thursday night on Fox, Matt Hill.
Lovely to be with you, Howie, and it was only 18 months ago they were the two main sides in the competition fighting out a grand final, and Collingwood won by 4. Collingwood king of the left of your TV screens. A round 6 spectacular about to get underway. McInerney and Cameron. Collingwood with the first tap. Coming through was Bailey. Fumbled the football. Neil with a clever little give. And then a kick from Zorko was a high one for centre half forward. Fell to Josh Dacos. Handball over the top. Hung in the air for a long time. Moore was tackled. Crisp just won the football well. Got it to side bottom. Collingwood's first foray towards half forward. No Mark McStay against his old mob. Tries to get it to Nick Dacos. He's wrapped up in a tackle and the umpire says, I'll have it.
Match up forward of the ball is Jordan De Goey on Dane Zorko. So I reckon they'd shake hands at the beginning. Zorko got the first clearance there, but shake hands at the beginning and then so we'll see you in a couple of hours, I reckon.
And Josh Dunkley looks like he's tried to get to Nick Dacos' body anyway, at least around the stoppages. We'll see if it continues on in general play.
Cameron, a fine start to the season against Oscar McInerney. The heart and soul of the Brisbane team down towards Nick Dacos. Spirals out to Ashcroft, senior. to Dacos Senior. A couple of father-sons immediately in play. Crisp, game 2:43 on the trot, drives it forward. And a former line, McStay, takes a strong mark inside 50.
It's looked dangerous already. You know, a couple of times when he's been able to jump at highest point, didn't quite clunk the first one. But that one, he's putting himself in really good spots. But these little scrimmages here, you know, Collingwood are prepared to go wide out of those contests quite often just to find a little bit more time and space, and they square it back up later.
McStay opens up the angle, strikes it nicely, opening goal, Easter Thursday for the Pies.
The other thing we saw there was the benefit of having the extra tall in that slow-mo that we saw. You know, Mason Cox is leaning in on Jack Payne, and he keeps him busy so he can't go third man over, which gives McStay the opportunity to work Harris Andrews over one-on-one. So that's another reason why you have that extra tall, just to try and prevent the intercept marking of the opposition.
It's a big win, isn't it, to take the contested mark early in the game to get the confidence up for Daniel McStay, and he went back and nailed the goal. Looks like it will be a bit of a one-on-one between him and Andrews. That's a big win to McStay early on.
And a good start to his year as well after he ruptured his ACL, of course, in training in pre-season last year. It's been a much better start to 2025. McInerney and McStay nullify each other. Umpires found a free kick going to Cameron.
And try back on.
In front of a packed Gabba. Not one empty seat here on a Thursday night. Cameron's long probing ball towards the top of the square. Cox the inclusion, tried to gather it with one hand. He's going to get a free kick. He's going to get a free kick.
It's always the value of Mason Cox in those contests. His extreme height means that the defenders tries to make him not let him reach, and therefore the hold is always a possibility. And Jack Payne got pinned.
And the big man, the late inclusion, throwing a spanner in the works against the Lions tonight, will kick from 40 metres out. And it's offline.
Wilmot to reset for the Premiers. Dunkley wants it wide out to the broadcast side. Wilmot elects to run. Squeeze it onto the flank to Rayner. Zorko's in ball. They love the ball in his hands. So they want to run off Mason Cox. Elects to go short. Back to the man Wilmot at the start of the chain.
Trying to force them wide. Just make sure they don't come back into the centre square. That'll be Collingwood's objective.
Kicks it very wide. Fly on the outer side. Moore stays down, handles it nicely to Cameron. Works his way to side bottom. Nick Dacos. Long did well to gather it, stop and keep going now. Josh Dacos got built up. The build up for the Pies. McStay comes a second time. Answorth stays down. Hill's in a dangerous area. Andrews, after that titanic battle last week with Darcy, clears.
So Leicester down the throat of McCluggage, plays on quickly. And now the kick back towards centre half forward from Same, grabbed by Cameron, got it back to Howe, and he's going to transition play to the near side wing, and Hill over the top. Quick movement to Lipinski. All of the action has been left of screen so far. Lipinski called to play on, splits the middle. It's a low ball. Cox tried to use his body. Neal came through. And Answorth with the clearing kick gets it to Hipwood. Of course, how good he was in the second half last week against the Dogs. Really lifting his team. Presses on to Dunkley.
Collingwood have been really sharp off half-back with any long contests or kick to contests as that one goes wide. And Josh Dacos will get that to kick back in. But they've just been so dangerous from these defensive mid. Been able to win those contests and then bounce back towards their forward line. Been really sharp in these early stages of this game.
Nathan Buckley, Lee Matthews and Alistair Lynch on Thursday night footy on Fox. Cox is in the target area down the line. Hipwood started nicely after his 5 goals in the second half last week. McCluggage just inches it forward. The powerful Rayner takes them on, approaches 50. Cameron will have to sit and wait. Moore arrives. kills the contest. Wonderful effort by the Pie skipper.
The kick inside 50 isn't it? Trying to find the free target. I mean, that one hung above Charlie Cameron as an easy spoil for Darcy Moore. Just be able to be a bit more precise with that kick inside 50.
So the first play in the pocket for Collingwood over the head of Cameron. Crisper's lurking, gathers the football. Didn't have anyone there to kick it to. Cameron trying to break free, got rid of the football, but in the end the umpire said you were holding it for too long. And the Pies on the slingshot. Perryman under pressure, wobbly one, going nowhere fast, and Wilmot was all over it. Called to play on. He's got a couple of options inboard. He retreats back. Zorko, low ball. Andrews.
Outside 5. Play on.
Slow ball. Shallow entry inside 50. They fly. There's a big leap from Rayner, but he's going to get a free kick for holding.
Rayner, please down.
Rayner wanting a little bit of action in the air early.
Stand down. Up and down, Jeremy.
Not a great deal in it. He was still able to get the leap away. Wasn't able to grasp it, but the first shot of goal for the Lions. Cam Rayner signed until 2031 under the All-Australian squad last year. From just inside 50, and it's offline the left.
So the opening goal from McStay. Collingwood rapidly out of defence towards Hill. Answorth does well. Bailey, McCluggage, sees Archie. Fine football, this man. He was prominent early last week. Continued his game. He'll line up for Brisbane's first.
Just a breakdown in Collingwood structure there, and a really well structured, as you see there. Bobby Hill's the target, and the Lions have got the next 4 players at that ground level contest. So Collingwood unable to use the ball to their numbers. Brisbane able to defend that area well and then bounce back.
3 goals in the prelim versus the Cats. 4 in the grand final for Archie. It's a good-looking finish. Just a touch skinny.
Billy, hop out, mate. Be on the blue, thank you, mate. Wait for the call, Charlie. Play on. Me.
So now with a low ball, rifles it to Perryman. As the crowd lulls, plenty of noise across the Gabba. Maynard spreads it out even wider. Lipinski finds room on the wing. Leans back, takes it cleanly. Inboard, Nick Dacos. He's going to use Lipinski again. He does that. Lipinski happy to go back and look for an option. Just probes it towards Biacek.
Back 3 metres. Stand.
It's got a short option. Ignores long. It's Ned Long. There we go. To the top of the square, Myercheck props it up. And reading it beautifully was Andrews in from the side. It was like he was the only man standing there. And Brisbane off the slingshot. Neil over the top as they work it along the wing, looking for young Levi Ashcroft, and he kept his composure well.
Good transition by the Lions back to Ashcroft. In the white boots, his brother in the black tonight. Leicester.
Outside 5. Play on. Play on.
Searches for options. Shorts it. Fletcher back to Leicester. Now Dunkley. Further on by hand. Caught high. Tunstall. And he's the recipient of the free. Uses Lockie Neal.
End zone.
Drives it deep towards Hipwood. McInerney at the back. Where are the small men? Cameron stands up. Not sure Myercheck wanted it in that position. The umpire says, "I'll toss it back in."
Last couple of transition, Brisbane's been able to find free targets. Their Collingwood's pressure is high 150s. Brisbane's pressure on Collingwood's 190. So that's something that the Pies would want to do. Get the ball on the ground a little bit more often in the contest and get it out of Brisbane's hands.
Maynard gets it out of the congestion to Crisp. It's a hot football to control for Perryman, who's happy just to retreat outside 50. No Mark McStay. Going in long. Fighting for it, Fletcher. It's going to bobble out here, though. Comes out to Zorko. So Zorko with some space. Always dangerous. Long ball towards the top of the square. But in the end, it was Cameron holding firm.
Both sides are getting back into their back 50 really quickly to block it up there and forcing the opposition wide. So no centre square attacks at the moment.
Andrews at one end, Cameron at the other. Compelling attacks. Josh Dacos accesses the corridor for the first time to the champ Pendlebury.
Get out, please. Play on. You.
Game 409. Puts it in a little hole. To go back in the side. Tries something a little bit clever. Kicks it straight to Tunstall. They can get them back the other way. If Zorko can get off. Pendlebury attempts to do just that. Squeezes it forward. Levi Ashcroft back to Tunstall. And they send it out to Neil.
Neil in front of the Collingwood dugout. Jewel Brownlow medalist.
Leave it on. Play on.
Just steadies for a moment. Kick wasn't convincing, but in the end it found Fletcher. And then his wobbly one wasn't convincing either. But it's landed in the midst of Big Oscar.
Brisbane 10 metres.
I guess you just got to get the job done.
Yeah, that's the turn. Again, they're coming in wide, so you're going to have to take these sort of long marks, and he certainly pushes back aggressively, Darcy Cameron, but Ruckman don't tend to defend as well. They might be able to take the odd mark at their forward 50, but they rarely defend well, and McInerney ended up taking an uncontested mark.
Of course, he was one of the sad stories out of the grand final, of course, last year. The bad case of FOMO, the most complicated of all. But he's kicked that beautifully for the first goal for Brisbane.
That really solidifies the dominance that they've enforced on Collingwood over the last sort of 5 minutes or so. They've had 6 of the last 8 inside 50s. They've been able to get their game going, a bit of bounce off half back. And they've had a couple of looks, as we can see. You know, Cameron's not in bad space here, probably a little high, but McInerney slid in behind him. And then Darcy Cameron just gets caught watching the ball here, and that's a pretty good mark of the floating ball that's coming over the top. It's funny how you sort of have a little bit more time and space to go inside 50 with beautiful drop punts, but then the floater's the one that hits the target, and then they get their first goal on the board.
Back this way.
Stay with the opener. McInerney with the reply.
Coming back this way. You move to the side a little bit.
Josh Dacos with 7 disposals. Neil with 6. Day has an attempt in the ruck. Dacos, Josh. Pendlebury burns away from the cluggage. Sends it forward. Here's McStay. He'll stay in a dangerous area. Not required. But McStay with a second grab takes a powerful mark.
That's a good launch. Again, the minor side is getting in there easily. It looks like big overhead marking at the moment is the goal scoring method. I mean, Dacos' ability to sort of break the line. So all of a sudden he's carried the ball 30 metres. And McStay, they leaped into the ball beautifully from the front spot.
5 games, 5 goals prior to tonight. He's already kicked the opener. McStay against his home side. He's kicked a couple.
He's been whatever the opposite of notorious is, but he's been a very successful starter in a game. Like he, in my recollection throughout his career, he jumps into games really quickly, often the first goal scorer. So to see him follow that up with the next is excellent. Nick Dacos here, just this change of pace, like the look that he's going to kick it, and then McCluggage thinks he's defending someone who's about to dispose of the ball. And then he changes angle and finds a little bit of space to go again. Gave him the chance to change that angle, which makes it a lot harder to defend for the Brisbane aerial players and stay ready to accept that kick.
The burst of acceleration, isn't it? That's what Nick Dacos possesses. Not many do, that ability to look over your shoulder and find a yard on the chaser.
He's kicked 2, now 3 times against his old team. Back in the middle. Cox won it down. Quick work to Pendlebury. Wobbly one inside 50. Didn't hit the target. He fell to Wilmot.
That's 2 centre clearances for Collingwood when Oscar McInerney's off the ground. So big concern for Sam Day. He's got to compete in the middle.
Wilmot to Andrews. see Fletcher absolutely screaming for it at the bottom of the screen, but instead he went Ainsworth. And then a short one.
They've clogged this up very well. Collingwood in the corridor just can't get in Brisbane.
Haynes kicked to the contest. No mark from young Morris and out of play.
So how do you effectively do that, Nathan? How do you block the middle of the ground and not let too many outlets still be available?
Well, you're just committing numbers and well spaced to be able to cover that area. But I mean, that a stoppage here is actually a win for the Lions. It's not bounce back. It's you're out of your defensive 50. Gives you a chance to win contests and go forward.
Cox off the ground, that's good enough. McCreary over the top, Nick Dacos back towards Crisp. Crisp by hand up against the boundary line. Pendlebury using plenty of experience. Skies one, 2 a 2-on-2. No mark. McStayfeld and Myercheck round the body. Plenty of Collingwood supporters are here and they're cheering. Brodie Myercheck, 9th goal for the campaign this year. Got the crumbs that time.
Yeah, Collingwood have got inside 59 times and they've taken 2 or 3 marks, but they've only, the Lions defence has only taken 1 intercept mark. I mean, the whole thing when the ball comes in, they've got the tall forward, just got to make sure, this is the Collingwood point of view I'm talking, to make sure if you can't mark it, make sure it comes to ground. They can't give a big spoil. It was a great effort then by McStay to make sure that while paying spoil, you didn't mark it, ball come to ground, you're 30 metres from your goal, you're about 120 metres from the opposition goal, so you're fairly advantaged.
Brisbane are moving the ball pretty well in transition, but they're getting smashed in clearances. It's 7-1 around the ground, 3-1 out of the middle, so they need to square that up real quick because otherwise you're playing off your back foot the whole night.
Hall of Fame legend Lee Matthews alongside Nathan Buckley, triple premiership line. Alistair Lynch, Thursday night football. Tunstall, he's already got 1 for high. Umpire says play on. Hold the ball in the end. Nick Dacos for his 9th disposal already. Heavy with the football. Standing in a good area though is Berry taking defensive mark. Someone to come towards him.
Only just over halfway in this quarter and Nick Dacos has 9. There's no real person that's been put on him. There's no tagging that we're seeing at this point, but obviously assessing his impact on the game and whether they need to tighten up a little bit. That would be a discussion in the Brisbane coaches box at the moment.
Collingwood at the numbers. Cox went the fists, but it fell to Bailey out of the congestion. Cameron. So Cameron pumps and goes towards the top of the square, waiting at the back. Hepburn.
See a lot of those kicks now that just go over the top of the defender. It's actually, with the skill of the player these days, it just goes from strength to strength, and the forward runs away, forces his player to take his eyes off the ball so he can control a little bit more of the angle of the kick and then the connection from the kicker. Great lace up there by Charlie Cameron.
I think Frampton actually misjudged the flight of the ball too. I think if he judged the flight of the ball, he would have got there for the spoil.
After such a slow start last week, he'd love this to go through the big sticks and continue that momentum from the second half against the Dogs. And through it goes.
That's a little bit about the type of defence that the position you're forcing the defenders into. I think most defenders would defend well when they've got the game in front of them, but when their opponent's behind and they're trying to work out how that looks, even Harris Andrews in that first aerial with McStay had a chance to make a play at the ball and didn't.
It's like playing the percentages, trying to play in the front position as a defender, which Frampton tried to do. It means you lose contact with your opponent's body, and that's when it's kind of 50-50. Will you be able to the ball fall into your hands or go over the top to the defender who's dropping back closer to goal?
Nick Dacos, 9 disposals, 2 inside 50s, 2 clearances. Are you concerned yet as Fagan?
Absolutely. I mean, the clearance numbers are not great, and he is a part of that, but he's also the beneficiary of it. So potentially you clean the clearance situation inside and you take away some of Nick's effectiveness.
Back to a 5-point margin. McCluggage wrestling his way through. Pendlebury's got him though. So another inside 50 opportunity coming the way of Nick Dacos. A third inside 50, just massages it forward. Oscar Elliott out of position. Myercheck caught with the footy. Fletcher off his boot. No damage done.
The scoreboard often determines what you do with the Nick Dacos. He's had 10 disposals, he's going well. But the scoreboard's okay. So from the Lions' point of view, I don't think you would be changing whatever you decided to do pre-game.
Cameron works his way to the front, slipped over at a crucial stage. Tunstall's handball back into the pack. Zorko couldn't control it. Hard one to pick up. Perryman, Andrews got a clean lead, but there was a whistle. It was going to Brisbane in the end.
Interesting there in the Pies forward 50 stoppage. Nick Dacos was the one that dropped out. You're talking about having him in that half-back position. They actually, facilitated him being out of that contest and being used behind the ball.
So Berry did a full 360, nowhere to kick it to. And no surprise that the Pies have come up with it. Cameron goes to Lipinski wide, but the kick's too hot, couldn't rake it in.
Rocks. Oscar and Darcy, thank you.
Front here, good Neil.
McInerney, Cameron, McInerney front position, straight to Neil. And he gives it as far as Pendlebury. End over end inside 50. Wilmot was aware on his chest, immediately wants to release. Does now. Levi Ashcroft. Sends it wide.
Outside 5.
Now in the hands of Tunstall. Started the game brightly.
What Collingwood have done really well. They got the ball, the centre half back, the lines have been forced, back flank, down the boundary line.
Big grab by Morris on the outer side. They don't come at him, so he plays on Zorko from right on 50 to finish off the good work. But Cameron has covered McInerney well and gets right back to the last line of defence.
It's exciting, isn't it? Logan Morris was famously played a game of VFL, went to McDonald's, got the call-up and said, you're playing in the firsts.
Yep. Interesting debut.
Similar to your prep, the Savo Matty.
Indeed. Maynard's long ball. No Mark Andrews. Had it for a while. Spills to Tunstall. Wobbly one. Ashcroft over the top. Morris. Stinky one's good. Archie rifled it.
Brisbane have probably been able to. They've had more space in their forward 50 than Collingwood have.
Yeah.
That one in particular, it looked like it had opened up a little bit. That's a really good play to lower the eyes and find the uncontested player. But Archie was in space there for quite a while.
Kicked a couple against the Pies late in their encounter in 2023. 45-degree angle here. No breeze to speak of. Rattles the post.
Couple of opportunities for Archie without taking full toll as yet.
I can talk about marks as a real indicator of the Brisbane game. They had 30 marks already, so that's a good number.
Aggressive ball down the middle by Howe. Craner gets an important touch on it. Answorth tries to meet it. Craner's still coming. Pushes it in front of him, but Answorth does well. Stands up in the contest. Sends it out to the dangerous Bailey. Wants to get off. Cameron does it nicely. An injection of speed. Runs his full measure. Too far, maybe.
I don't think so. That's a bit harsh, I thought.
Quite a short distance to see.
Even though Darcy Cameron wasn't able to affect the tackle, at least he forced Bailey to take those extra couple of steps.
50-metre penalty.
Saw Matty Rowell run 29 metres up at the Gloucester last week.
It's a decent penalty, I reckon. Good 50, he's inside. Will be kicking from just inside the 50-metre line.
So Josh Dacos, he unloads from 49 metres out and kicks the goal. And you can understand the frustration of Bailey. He's been done for running too far and then gave away the 50 for encroaching on the mark.
I think he's giving him a second one if it didn't clear through.
Yeah, the second man of the mark was going to be penalised as well.
But these are the moments in games where it really tests the experience of the leaders of the side. So obviously Collingwood have been the receivers and the beneficiaries of a couple of 50-metre penalties here. But now it's how do Brisbane respond. These next couple of minutes into quarter time are instructive. Brisbane can reconvene, make sure that they get themselves back into these clearance contests, maybe hit the scoreboard. It's important to arrest Collingwood's momentum.
The accuracy is always king. 4 goals, 1 to 2 goals for the ability to take his shots. Collingwood just doing that a little bit better than the Lions at this point.
Nice little 9-point buffer for the Pies. Neal hunts the footy to McCluggage. The old firm delays the hand pass. Bobby Hill cut it off, going to Berry. They're coming the other way. The Pies again to go. He's got options. And then he ignored a couple of them, tried to drive it forward. Spoil K might still work out. Nick Dacos loops into space. Bobby Hill, danger. Bobby one way, then the other shoots off by hand. Round the corner. Nearly in game 200 for Jamie Elliott.
Coaching move there, Archie's been moved behind the ball just for a couple of minutes and was the one that laid that smother and put pressure on Jamie Elliott.
Such a big night for Jamie Elliott. We saw that collage earlier on, some of these buzzer beaters over the last few years. That's going out of play.
He's 99 games with all sorts of injuries since his debut as he faces 200th. Jamie Elliott, popular figure, Nathan.
Yeah, he's a beauty. His teammates love him. He's a quiet achiever. He just goes about his business with a minimum of fuss.
McInerney won it down. McCluggage, quick hands. Bailey, kick towards half forward. They press here. Hipwood just a little bit out of the contest there. Day doing the work in front of the football. It was inside 50 this time. Hipwood goes back and leads up.
Hipwood tried his confidence up, kicked 5 last week in the second half, of course, and he's nailed his one, so he can be a little bit iffy with his set shots at goal, but he'll be feeling pretty good about his goal scoring right now.
Bread and butter from here, I reckon, Hippie. What do you reckon, mate?
Alistair Lynn's right on the spot. He's just got a bit of work to do, Al, before he has a chat to you. Not the easiest of assignments. The confidence is up. It's across the face. And in the end, out of bounds on the full. As Rayner hit the deck in that contest.
Outside 5, Jackson.
Stay with a couple. All the rest single goal scorers. Going the way of Cox, so he's a late in and he's caused a few issues. Delays the hand pass momentarily. Maynard, side bottom. He's being attacked by McCluggage. A rare fumble by the champ. Perryman caught by Neal. Somehow they break through. Back to side bottom. Can he find a bit of space? Maynard, Cameron, Harry's into him. Quainer with a bit of class. Now Josh Dacos. Did they look dangerous running through the middle? Myercheck's got 3 to beat. Spills out the back. Bobby Hill. Can't get there.
Coming up with the ball out of that congestion a little bit more often. Collingwood winning the clearances 11-3 at the moment, so they're just being a little bit better in the contest, which is always the starting point.
Lee Matthews, Nathan Buckley, Alistair Lynch in co-commentary tonight. As Cameron pats it down to Dunkley, just retreats off the left boot, bouncing football, grabbed by Rayner. He was met solidly after he kicked it. He wasn't happy about it either. It was from Maynard, side bottom came in, and there's just a little bit of wrestling going on. So some feeling, as you would expect, it's the Pies by 10.
Coleman started brightly, McStay's kicked a couple. The Pies 4-2-26 in enemy territory. Brisbane 2-4-16. Collingwood 10 to the good against the slow starting but fast finishing Lions. Get your hot cross buns ready tomorrow on the couch. A couple of games coming your way.
All right, folks, welcome in. It's Thursday night football, of course. We have pretty much the match of the round, apart from Monday. Brisbane Lions taking on the might of the Collingwood Football Club up there at the Gabba. This is going to be a ring-a-ding cracking game. It should be a close one right down to the wire. Just a quick shout out to the people in the live chat. Of course, Michelle Hughes, T-Name Bem Bem, Addie G's in there, Mark's in there, and Tish is in there, and of course, Cheers in there. Mega love shout out. Tell you what, great game so far. Both teams having reasonable run off their backline. The one thing I did find up until 3/4 of the way through that opening quarter, Brisbane seemed to find a little bit more space in their forward line, whereas the defence of Brisbane was shutting down Collingwood quite well, even though the scores 4-2-26 the Maggies, 2-4-16 the Lions. Magpies by 10 points. Late in the third term, Collingwood seemed to get a little bit of space in their forward 50, which was fantastic to see. Tell you what, there's plenty of heat and plenty of life in this game. That's a good pressure game. A bit of a running type of game, this one. I'll tell you what, whoever's going to be the fittest by the end could be the telling factor on who takes this game out. It's a cracking game. Of course, I go for the Magpies, everyone. Everyone knows I'm a Collingwood supporter, and that's who I'm cheering on. If anyone in the chat can remember when the last time Brisbane actually beat Collingwood, let us know, because I can't remember. It must be a few years ago, because I'm sure we beat them in the last game before the finals last year. There we go. And the grand final a year before. So it's always great matches between these two clubs. Let's just have a look at the ladder. Prior to this game, Brisbane Lions were sitting on top, played 5, winning all 5 games. And of course, Collingwood was sitting in 4th position, played 5, won 4. If we turn on the live ladder, as the game stands now, if Collingwood end up winning, Collingwood will go on top of the ladder. So that's what we've got to play for this evening, folks, for all those Collingwood Brisbane supporters out there, who's going to sit on top of the ladder. If Brisbane win this game, they'll be a game clear. A game or 2 clear, actually. Let me just double check that. Yeah, they'll be a game, 2 games clear. So it should be good. Pies live ladder. I know the Pies live ladder. Let's leave the live ladder on Eddie G, because that is fantastic. I love that. Let's just have a quick look, because I didn't see the ins and outs for the teams. For the Lions, Sam Marshall, James Tunstall come in. Going out, Will McLaughlin, Bruce Reville. New Sam Marshall, of course, he's the sub. And Sam Marshall's milestone is his debut game for the mighty Magpies, the best team in the world. Of course, coming in, the tall big man, Mason Cox, Jordan De Goey. Going out, Tim Membry, Lockie Sullivan. 2 good ins, 2 good outs. Edward Allen is the sub. And, of course, Jamie Elliott, his milestone game of 200. Good luck to Jamie Elliott in this game. A little bit of a star he is. He hasn't had the best of careers. But what do you mean, no thanks? Come on, Eddie G. Let's all cheer on the Magpies. Let's just take a quick look at the players' stats and the goal scorers before we head back to the ground for the bounce of the ball for the second quarter. Daniel McStay, he's been the leading target up there for the Magpies. He's kicked 2 goals. Brody Myercheck with a snap, he's got 1. And, of course, the mighty Josh Dacos from 50 kicked the other goal, single for the Pies. Oscar McInerney, Eric Hipwood, the only 2 single goal scorers there on the ground for the Lions so far. Of course, do we expect anything else, folks? The leading disposal getters on the ground is the superstar, of course, Nick Dacos with 11, 6 kicks, 5 handballs, 2 clearances, and, of course, his brother Josh Dacos with 10. Both the Dacos boys leading 1 and 2. He's kicked a sausage roll. Of course, Lockie Neal, you wouldn't expect anything less from him to be leading pretty much the Brisbane Lions, 8 disposals. Dane Zorko on 6. Scotty Pendlebury on 7. We'll check in a little bit more at half time, all the stats and that. But it's going to be a cracking game. My tip is, of course, Collingwood by 7 points. I think this is going to be a ring-a-ding-ding game. I think this is going to come down to the wire. As I said before, who's going to run out the game better? Because both teams are playing pretty good. Look, I think Collingwood really had the best of that quarter. I think Brisbane have still got their time to come, which, you know what, if I'm a Brisbane supporter, I'd be quite happy with just being 10 points behind at this point in the game. You know, that being said, it's going to be a fantastic game. All right, let's get back down to the commentators and they'll take us into the second quarter. Worse the Magpies by 10 points.
Great work from Dan McStay in that forward 50. It's a luxury item to have a big man like that against quality opposition taking contested grabs. This first one on Harris Andrews, good strong hands and converted his opportunity. The next one, slightly out in front, but again, another great contested mark against Jack Payne on the back of this great clearance. Now this is what you want from a clearance, out the front, out in front of your teammate, and that is a genuine pack grab from McStay. And his next one was, again, he launched, which generated the goal for Brodie Mychek. But the concern is, if you're +5 for inside 50s, and as Lee just touched on, you're -3 for marks inside 50, you've got to capitalise on those clearances. They're getting out into space, you've got to lower the eyes and hit the short one and get those set shots at goal.
Yes, as Lynchy said, I mean, if you take a couple of contested marks in a quarter inside 50, that's about, you don't get much better than that, the big contest. So just at the moment, for limited opportunities, the Lions are able to find 3 players inside the 50-metre arc, not depending on the big pack marks, which Collingwood seem to be at their end.
A packed Gabba on Easter Thursday. And it's Collingwood by 10. Dacos, that's Nick with 11 disposals. Brother Josh with 10 in the first quarter. Brisbane kicking to the left of your screens. Cameron and McInerney. Fell to Pendlebury. Quick one to Dacos. They're just splendid watching together as Dacos goes really wide. It's out to Elliott.
That's what you need to do. That's how you go. Kicking the ball to movement in your forward line is how you'll get a lot of inside 50. Middle you're wide, so you're going to have a long shot from out wide, but more chance of getting those set shots.
We'll rinse, repeat the centre bounce clearance, and this time a mark inside 50, so taking advantage of that work. But Pendlebury's work off his man to Nick Dacos with the legs and finish.
Dylan McStay in the square instructing Elliott to go for home, and that's exactly what he does. It's not a bad looking attempt, but to the left.
Rayner's been in for one centre bounce, so you need some sharper feet in there maybe for Brisbane just to arrest. If we see this happen for another 5 minutes, well then it's become more than a trend. So there might be a personnel issue, but at the moment still backing the A-grade midfield that they began with.
Zorko to Andrews is always going to take that mark. He's so strong in the air. Free kick off the ball today. One of the great survivors made the trip up from the Gold Coast, and he's slotted into the premiership side. Hipwood. Oh, Eric flies high, as does Rayner. Good aerial operators. Lipinski, long. Fumble from Pendlebury, probably the only one of the season. Josh Dacos. Howe. Now Elliott in game 200. Back to Long. Oh, shanks it off the instep. Unusual kick. Might still work out for the Pies. Scrappy bit of play. Long tries to make up for his error. Tunstall under pressure in defence. Trying to get out of that trouble is Payne. Lips a wide hand pass. They're hemmed in. Now Dunkley.
And then Dunkley with the dump kick, and they're going to get a free kick just to release the valve for a dump. So Zorko switches play into the middle. Day lopes to the football. He's going to spread it to the near side. Running hard, Answorth. Quick move into the pocket, 2 against 1 here. Cameron. Kick 4 for the year, Charlie. 44 goals last year, 300 in the last 6 for the excitement machine. It is Charlie Cameron. Just kicks that a little too fat. Through for a behind. That was the reason for the free kick earlier on.
In the field, but this is the first time in the game they're able to get back from outside inside, and then you can set up an inside 50 mark unpressured.
Josh Dacos in some fancy black and white boots. Tries to pinpoint it to the outer side. It's a free kick against Fletcher on the way of Cameron.
It might be fancy, Harry. He's giving him a workout for a bit of the ball. 12 touches already.
We're talking about the expression with our kids on the way here. Good old aura they do have, Bucks. So those boots gives him good aura. Every mum and dad will be at home thinking, what are they talking about? Ask your kids. Goes across the line. You across Aura Lethal?
Just rolls with it.
He's just got it.
Sounds good, though. Sounds good.
You're described as Sigma, isn't he?
Yep, that's Sigma. That's what the kids would call you these days, Lee. Sigma.
Okay.
That's the top of the tree. It's no better.
Fringe.
Cameron. McInerney.
Lol.
Crisp, just doing Jack Crisp things, creating a bit of space. And Lester pinches one right in the line. Sends it back to Neil.
Neil, in front of his own dugout, searching for options, is going to go down the line in the Archie direction. Couldn't quite rake it in.
Oscar, Darcy.
Brisbane have been a little more controlled in their transition. When the game slows down a little bit, it'll be interesting to see whether that means that they do control field position a little bit more.
Cameron used his body well to get it to Dacos, who was pinned, and it was a terrific tackle. Tunstall, easy to recognise. His teammates reckon he looks like Roger Federer. Kicks it out wide to Dunkley. Just outside 50.
End zone.
It's a high ball towards the top of the square. Day set himself, got a little bit of it, fell towards the Bailey direction. They go to ground, umpire wants it.
Kurt on end zone. Yep.
Perryman at the bottom of the pack.
Let's go.
Cameron and Bailey looking to get dangerous. McInerney, they snap it out of the ruck. Spills out another possession. Dacos just creates space with a turn of foot to Crisp. He gets through and plays next week. Anzac Day will equal Jim Steins' consecutive games record. Quite extraordinary. He's turned it over here to Payne. Goes back with a scrappy ball.
You kick, pay it.
He'll be going 244
One.
in a row. Now McCluggage,
Outside 5.
defensive point of the square. Looks to the middle. Collingwood have blocked it up throughout the night. Uses it to Neil.
Stay out behind.
Ainsworth comes wide.
Answorth, some room to move.
Outside.
It was a short one to Bailey.
Outside
Just a bit
5.
stagnant here at the moment. Slow steps for the Lions. Bailey just pops it up with a little 8 iron. Up they go, Raider. Well, they thought about it. They took it slowly. They got it done in the end.
I was able to get Nick Dacos as his one-on-one matchup here, and there was no other Collingwood players that sort of got involved or were able to come across. But that controlled ball use and ball movement, they've been able to unpack Collingwood's defensive mix a little bit in transition.
So Rayner, a set shot from only about 25 and makes no mistake. And it's back to 4 points.
They just continually move the ball in that back half. They spread the ground so wide that even the best defences eventually there'll be a 5-metre hole that'll drop into position. And we saw that Lachie Neale hit up here on the wing into that space. There wasn't a lot of space, but that little hit up then opened up the next 1 or 2 to the point where they were in the launch pad area, able to get deep into contest here, and enough Brisbane tall forwards to keep the intercept markers busy for Rayner to be able to do his work.
Right matchup, wasn't it? The Collingwood Talls just couldn't quite get to him. It's in the middle of a pack of players, but he's got a great extension, Rayner, when he sort of launches that 2 feet jump and launches really strong overhead.
Lee Matthews with us on Fox, 4 premierships with the Hawks as a player and then 4 as a coach. Collingwood and 3 here at Brisbane. McInerney trying to use a bit of body. Will Ashcroft, long, McCluggage, side bottom, Neil, squeezes it out. Berry puts a challenge to Bailey, who's up to it. Ashcroft, lightning by hand. They go inside 50. Eric Spoil. And the whistle took a long time to come, but it eventually did. It's against Darcy Moore in the Spoil.
Spoil has to be ball only. If you're second there and you go anything else other than the ball, automatic free kick.
It would. 5 in the second half last week. One in the first quarter for Eric. Kick 30 way back in 2015. Premiership player. Game 183 from a tight angle for a second for the evening. On the left, makes good contact. Just hooks it a touch.
Run out. Play on. Line.
So Collingwood on with it quickly, Lipinski. So Cox down the line.
Play on.
And Hill tries to take on Tunstall and then gets himself into a bit of a predicament. So has to snap virtually into his man and have nowhere to go.
You don't often get credited for a really good stand on the mark, but that was really good play by Tunstall that prevented Lipinski from being able to move the ball forward.
47 marks to 21, which is just an indication the Lions are much better at just simply maintaining possession and kicking the ball to each other than Collingwood are at this point tonight.
Time again. Thank you, Oscar. Thanks, Darcy.
It's on the left. Sam Marshall, who's the sub tonight. He's presented with his Guernsey earlier by Simon Black, the debutant. So in. McInerney with the fist down again. Tunstall working for a free kick. McCluggage goes in, taken to ground. Another stoppage.
It's a little simplistic, but at the moment, if it's in a contest or a clearance, then it's
Collingwood are doing well in that.
everything else, or the transition game, it looks like it's advantage Brisbane. So what can each side do to force the other to play their game?
Neil splits the middle, breaks the pack, snap round the corner. Almost Morris just fell out of his hands. He had a fair bit of it. Josh Dacos darts one towards the wing. Bobby Hill can run onto it here, and he does run onto it. Look at him go! Like a 100-metre sprinter. The race is on. Beats two. Darts one to the pocket. No mark taken. Hoskin Elliott's there. Can he pick it up? He can. Hill keeps running. Centering handball to go. He threw him under the bus, but he gets rid of it. Long, 15 metres out. Has to be quick. Breaks one. Kick was smothered. Long gets another chance. He deserves one. Almost on the line by a chip. And also McStay. It's all happening. It is all happening.
Great call, Hilly. Geez, there's some energy going into the game now. What a great score by Wilmot on the...
Free kicking goal to McStay.
We take a push in the back. That's a goal. Yeah, all clear.
So it looks like McStay was paid the free kick for the push.
So McStay, who was the last line there, he's been paid the free kick. Love to see the replay again.
There's about 5 or 6 things going on at once. I'm really surprised with this.
6-6-6. Let's go.
Probably one of the most frenetic goals we've ever seen. And as a result of it, Dan McStay has been paid his third goal of the night. And this all developed from this magnificent bit of sprinting from Hill.
It was just before then, I think as Harris Andrews pushed McStay.
Upfield umpire played it. The midfield umpire.
The crowd have just seen it on the big screen. They are losing their minds here at the Gabba. A lot of passion. So McStay's got free on the board, and Collingwood pinch out that 9-point lead again. McInerney with a clearance. Crowd right on their feet now at the Gabba. McCluggage tracks it back. Lipinski comes in hard. McCluggage again. Dunkley. Ashcroft outside of the foot. Down towards Bailey. Dangerous round goal. Gets a high. Crowd out of their seats. It's getting ferocious on and off field now. Maynard and Rayner starting to have a bit of a get to. Oh, you can hear it on the umpire mics.
I'm really surprised that 50 wasn't paid there. We talk about dissent.
Gee, the big...
A lot more than you could 12 months ago.
Yeah, the descent is an evolutionary rule, isn't it? Comes and goes, goes up and it goes down.
few chaps in the crowd might have got done for dissent in the last couple of moments.
And they're all sitting over my shoulder.
Bailey from 45. This would really lift the crowd. It comes. Just not enough. Big moments in this game. Look, Maynard still into Bailey.
This is what big games need, though, Howie.
Yep.
There's a lot of niggle in it now. Both teams are in it and invested. The energy this next 5-10 minutes tells the story, doesn't it?
So delicately poised that it takes one little moment like that, like a high tackle, and it causes mayhem. Long ball from side bottom, McStay, who went back and kicked that previous goal and gets it to Nick Dacos, who he's going to have a run now. Kick inside 50, Hoskin Elliott.
What about that leading pattern?
Yeah, that's good.
Just like he's coming up and then goes over the back.
Yeah. But this is where, the adrenaline's high. There'll be a bit of aggression in the game. The controlled aggression is the main thing. You can't be uncontrolled with the aggression, no matter how much adrenaline is flushing through your veins. And that's what the challenge is now for both teams.
Quiet so far, but important kick in the context after what we've seen in the last 5 minutes. And that's going to steady the ship. The goal umpire did not move. Will Hoskin Elliott's 3rd match of the season, and it's out to 14.
So Will Hoskin Elliott came in last week to fulfil Schultz's role, so he's like a higher forward running up and back, and tonight we see him playing deeper in Tim Membry's role, or in a similar role, so can play in multiple positions, is an aerial threat as much as a running threat. Really good forward craft there to force his player to think that he's going to hit up, come back over the top, and Nick Dacos with enough time and space to be able to hit that target.
That's the thing with you got Dacos, you're not going to get picked up on behind, so Hoskin Elliott had time to actually feign the forward lead and then call it over the top.
Logan Morris looked a bit proppy in a contest about 4 minutes ago, but he stayed out in the ground.
It didn't look good.
No.
When I saw it initially, it was like a straight-legged landing,
Yep.
but he looks to be okay.
Rayner putting power on Dacos now. Howe pops up the Neil possession. Nick's not worried. He gets another possession to his brother. Josh Dacos, Collingwood flying at the moment. Hoskin Elliott straight to Elliott in game 200. Arches the back, can't get away. Back to Hoskin Elliott. Elliott's everywhere. Josh Dacos arrives on the scene. Tries to scoop it out. Ashcroft with a high clearing ball towards the wing.
Ball still to be won. And it's going to be Brisbane with Morris. Retreats back to Berry. Push forward here through McCluggage. And now it's Levi Ashcroft. Cavalry charge up ahead. The shallow entry inside 50. Hit Wood. Couldn't quite. Fell to Archie. Handball inboard. Berry goes back. Levi Ashcroft. Centering ball. Who wants it? Brisbane want it. It's a mark. It's going to be paid a mark. Crowd want 50 for Chris belting it away, but it's going to be a mark today.
If this will be potentially, so that was a big hit, but he was down, then he jumped up, Dacos, and got the next handball. This will be Sam Dacos, I think, first goal of the year, if he can nail this.
It certainly will be lethal.
The Lions, of course.
Yes, of course, the former son, it's his 15th year in the AFL, so he's received that lifeline from the Lions. So it'll mean a little bit of extra if he's able to put it through, and he does. He doesn't let them down.
Chris Fagan spoke before the game about his wish to see Sam Day hit the scoreboard a little bit more. We talk about awkward landings. He had that one where he really damaged his hit badly on Metricon Stadium in the middle of his career, and it really set him back for a little bit. But he's been a guy that's just kept keeping on, and he now has an opportunity with the Lions to fulfil a hole that's been left with Joe Danaher's departure, and doesn't need to be a world beater, but if he can take a couple of contested marks and finish here and there, as well as going into the second ruck role, he's more than handy for the Lions.
And not get marked against. The inside figures evened up 19 apiece, but I don't think Collingwood defenders have been able to take a intercept mark yet. The Lions' big forwards, when the ball has come down, have made sure it's at least a mark, or the ball has come to ground.
Beautiful night, packed house at the Gabba. Intensity's really lifted in the last 5 or 6 minutes. Brisbane get it back to an 8-point margin. Ashcroft, Will to McCluggage. Cameron slipped at the inopportune time to Maynard. Now Frampton, he's called to go. Eric doesn't realise. It's play on, Eric, you can go, and he does now. Hipwood tries to pressure him. Billy steps around him. Sends a long ball to the outer side down towards Cameron, but the great wall of Brisbane, Harris Andrews, is there.
And usually he's one of the foundations, isn't he? Andrews, inboard, Levi Ashcroft.
A big contested mark now changes, starts every. Now Brisbane have got possession and they've been pretty good at maintaining it.
Kicks wide. Achie tries to drag it in. Wasn't a bad attempt.
Collingwood would be pleased with the amount of times they've made Brisbane kick down the line, I would think, Bats, hasn't it? They actually have not been able to be really precise and quick into their forward 50 from those back 50 transitions.
Packed house here at the Gabba. They're getting their money's worth. Round 6 action. Cameron won it down. McCluggage to Neil. Neil spins on a dive, but then Mycheck was coming through like a train. Back to Andrews. Pummels a handball. And it was to no one really in particular. Tried to disguise it with a handball, but the umpire said, throw it in.
If the 51 marks would suggest that they're able to shift the angle a little bit.
But they're not sort of getting where you're really opening up your forward 50, you know, where you just can sort of pick your targets inside there. They mostly have to be wide.
Inside 50s, 19 apiece. Josh Dacos joins his brother on 15 disposals.
Just looks sharp, the Dacos boys.
He's now gone to 16 and on the way to a big number if things continue. Ashcroft runs into a pie sandwich. Pretty physical in the clinches at the moment. A couple of outside runners waiting for it to spill free. And those big quads at Mycheck bring Bailey to the ground.
Straight up.
Full analysis at half-time.
Thanks, Zach.
With the Fox crew, the best in the business. Less than 7 to go. Second quarter. Cameron pats it down on hands and knees. Neil working hard for it. McCluggage, he's got side bottom and Chris to beat. Not an easy task.
Oscar Darcy. Back this way.
Slapped down. Ashcroft scrapping for it. Side bottom. A sky ball. Elliott! Almost got to the ball. Punched away by Lester. Ryan Lester, who so important along with Andrews in that back line. Just do clever little defensive things that make the difference at times.
McCreary tried to burst his way through the Berry tackle, held it for a long time, too long. Big tackle, Berry. To Will Ashcroft with the flowing locks down to Hipwood. Rips a man off the footy. It was Maynard. They might want to remonstrate about that.
Go through.
And get the free kick.
Thanks, Eric, right there. Stand.
Thanks, Eric. Side bottom.
Outside 5.
Session number 9.
Move it on. Play on.
Points forward of the footy. In the pocket. Cox had just pushed underneath it cleverly by Payne, and McInerney mops up in defence.
So still with a little bit of clearing work to do here. Wilmot. As they transition play. Near side, not 15 as you heard, so that's put a little bit of pressure on them, but they're going to get away with it with a high free kick. Day receiving that free kick. Mansworth, Berry. So a little bit of keepings off here.
What the Lions are doing here, if they move it side to side, they're forcing Collingwood to shift their defence, and it asks them to do a little bit more work than just, you know, than what they were able to do in the second half against Sydney last week. Sydney just couldn't shift them at all, so it might take a toll in the end.
Kick to Dunkley. Strong mark. Lipinski bearing down on him.
At least that's what Brisbane are obviously hoping for, that they shift them and find a hole, and then they could use that ball a little more effectively inside their forward.
Collingwood are sort of really blocking the outlets for the kick that are the really creative ones. The Lions can maintain possession, but eventually it's almost a win to Collingwood to force them to kick long.
High ball from Andrews. Hit good, led from the front. Morris, little handball to Neil. Got cut off. Nick Dacos weaving through the traffic. Got past two. How did he do it? Inboard he goes to Goey. By hand along. Then Pendlebury. Little sidestep was clever and goes wide. McCreary. Both sides with the ability of moving the ball so fast. With slick hands at times. Bo McCreary's kicked 3 goals from 5 games this season. Have a look at that. That's class.
He kept running too, Matty. He ran all the way inside 50 to provide an option, did Nick Dacos.
Knowing full well how Brisbane played their 3rd term last week, Collingwood looking for a buffer. McCreary gives it everything, absolutely loads up with a belter. What a kick.
Great finish, and Collingwood kicked 3 goals from turnover, and all 3 have come from the back half in a very similar circumstance. Like a long kick from Brisbane. Collingwood square up that contest, and then they bounce off that. And Nick Dacos has been a big part of this, and his ability to find space, beat the first 2 or 3 pressure players, and then all of a sudden you've got 3 or 4 Collingwood players that are offside, that look like they're forward of their direct counterparts. And through the middle here you can see. And then you get it in a good ball user's hands, and you just finish the play.
Used the right option, didn't they? But the point, but this is the thing when he carries the ball, Nick Dacos, he carries it forward inboard, and then really the whole forward 50 opens up. McCreary's a long way from goal, but he was the one that's on. Found him.
Collingwood led by 10 at the first break. They've taken it out to a 14-point margin. Brisbane have won their last 8 matches in a row when they've been behind at the half-time break. A record that stretches back to the early 1900s.
They've even upped the clearances a lot. It's now 12 to Brisbane, 15 to Collingwood. It was 4-11 down at quarter time.
Legend of the AFL, Lee Matthews. You'll hear from another one. Jason Dunstall in the half-time break. Another one for Dacos. Tapping it forward into the path of McStay. He's already kicked 3. Back to side bottom. Tries to fashion a ball inside. Zorko read it beautifully off the boot. And he's not happy with the treatment he gets from Hoskin Elliott. Aggressive little kick to centre half back. Dunkley. Now Berry with a long ball. Day getting busy. He's got the overlap on Cameron if he chooses to use him. Instead, drops into the pocket. The powerful one. Rayner. Can't take the grab.
You're talking about intercept marks. Earlier, Lee. It's actually been a really low turnover game. There's only been 35 turnovers combined between both sides. They usually average about 130 a game. So when each side gets it, they're using it relatively effectively, either scoring or going to stoppage. There's not a lot of intercept possession taking place at the moment.
Dunkley, quick hands. Levi Ashcroft. It's a high one. It's still going to sit there, and Moore has to defuse it. Had no choice. Gord sets it up, doesn't it, for a fantastic second half, particularly with Brisbane so good in the 3rd term this year.
Howe. Crisp. Formerly off Brisbane. McInerney front position. Payne tries to get the crumbs. Wilmot. Forward. Tunstall. Scrappy ball back to Crisp. Now Perryman. Loving his time in the black and white. High, wide, and not so handsome.
Jack Payne to bring it back into play.
Outside 5.
2 minutes left on the clock in this first half. Kick hugs the boundary line, 2-on-2. No mark brought down by Morris. The pluggage was there, fell to Tunstall. Blazes away, Cameron flew, couldn't quite drag it in. Day's there, he's taken by Quaynor and had him on toast.
It's there, Jared Berry was going to receive that handball all along. He could have backed out and given himself another couple of metres, and the receiver a bit more time to make the decision, but got caught really close to the contest.
Nick Dacos coming out for his 20th disposal. 5 inside 50s, 4 clearances.
Play on.
His brother trails him on 15. Now side bottom.
You asked the question earlier about the Lions and Dacos. They'd like to shut him down. I think the problem is how. That's always the problem. How do you shut him down?
Get cramp.
Side bottom. Gets out the back. Well, what would you try and do, Lee? Would you put someone to him? Like, how are you going to reduce at least his impact on the game?
Well, it's very hard. He runs so hard. It's very hard for anyone to just athletically to keep up with him. I mean, McLeod and Neil and Ashcroft and Dunkley, I mean, they've been okay, but it's just when he gets the ball and takes off with the metres gain and the run, it's outstanding.
He's actually
dropping off the contest again, yeah.
His acceleration has been a highlight tonight. Just taken the ball and gone long, powerful. To a dangerous area. Wilmot got an important hand on it. The Pies, just too much on it. Lipinski to Elliott. Maynard back to Elliott. Another one for Nick Dacos. Outside of the foot, just too much on it. Might work out in the back of the pack. Lipinski. Crisp sees a man in long.
No, we were just talking about Nick. He started at half-back on Calamacho, who's been a great stopper in terms of a forward role. The work rate of Nick Day, he wasn't worried about Archie at all. But he ran 80 to 100 metres across the field to get that handball receive and get that inside 50. He's on his front foot at the moment. There's not a lot of stopping him with someone like this when they work that hard and they're sniffing blood.
3 games as sub this year and then 29 disposals last week to light it up against the Swans. On the siren, Long kicks a big goal late. Collingwood stretch away. They're up by 10 at quarter time. That late goal gives it a handy margin. Brisbane 4-8-32. The Pies 8-3-51, a 19-point margin to the way of Collingwood, but I wouldn't be going to bed, Nathan, because we've seen what Brisbane have done in second halves this year.
No, I'm sure we'll see the differentials over the next little bit in our halftime analysis from what Brisbane have been able to do, in particular in third quarters. It's been plus 150 odd in terms of differential scoring in the third quarter, so the Lions aren't out of this yet.
Sarah Jones.
Thank you very much, Howie. Yes, a fascinating contest at the Gabba so far, and as you said, the third quarter dominance of Brisbane so far this year makes us think that the Lions still have plenty left in the tank. Jason Dunstall, David King and Joey Montagna, what's your initial reaction to what we've seen so far?
The difference is conversion, taking your opportunities. There's a 20-point margin and it probably shouldn't be. One team's made the most of it and the other has wasted and squandered opportunities.
Pies, when they get rolling, they're so quick, they're so slick, their handball game is on, their inside, their outside game, their clearances is really causing the Brisbane Lion mids. It's gone from a headache in the first quarter to a migraine at half-time.
Yeah, I'm seeing it at the other end of the field. Brisbane had sort of controlled that quarter. They were intercept marking a lot of Collingwood's entries. They were able to find some marks themselves inside 50. Just weren't able to capitalise. But just late in the quarter, all of a sudden, the Pies get away, and it's a pretty handy lead at half-time. But as Nathan Buckley just said, we know what Brisbane are capable of in second halves.
We've seen the Lions have volumes of inside 50s, but not efficiency throughout the year. So if they can tidy that up, they're very much in this. We're going to have a look at our Harvey Norman highlights now, and it surrounds one man who has been absolutely dominant, Jason, Nick Dacos. His run, his ball use, he is an exceptional talent, and he, time after time, provides headaches for this Brisbane Lions outfit.
Doesn't know how to play a bad game, does he? But it's his work inside before he gets outside. He's winning a lot of those inside balls. But what he's doing is running and carrying. He's taking it away from the stoppages, linking up with his other mids, and then he's finding space where he can deliver the football. So the clearances they're getting are quality clearances.
Yeah, if you flirt with not tagging Nick Dacos, this is what can happen. And he's destroyed them in the first half. He's had 7 score involvements, a couple of direct assists. As Jason touched on, over 400 metres gained. I mean, this is everything you want to see from Nick Dacos. King's been on it about the inside Nick Dacos versus the ball using Nick Dacos, and we're seeing that tonight. He's been able to get on the outside and he's cutting the Brisbane Lions apart in his first half, along with his brother Josh, it must be said, who's been excellent as well.
You give Nick Dacos 21 disposals and he's probably going to use it wisely most of the time, Kingy.
Well, just look at the run, the slicing runs, and then they get their wave chain going, and that's when they're at their best, Collingwood. I don't think they're a great kicking team, but when they can run and chain and link, they take metres quickly. And that's what's been the gap in the game tonight. What Collingwood have been able to do in terms of changing gears from standing still to a flat out, and then force Brisbane to stop a few times and assess and go along down the line. And that's been the game.
All right, we're going to head to Alistair Lynch, who is watching this all unfold from boundary level at the Gabba. Who can tag him from that Brisbane Lions outfit?
Well, I don't know who can, but someone that they'll probably try is Cal Archie. He's done the job late last year on a number of running halfbacks, in the grand final on Nick Blakey, Lockie Whitfield a couple of weeks before that as well. So I think he's probably the one they'll go to. It looked like he may have gone alongside him in the last couple of minutes of that quarter then without making an impact. But Cal's the sort of guy that can impact the scoreboard. He hasn't had a big first half, so I'm sure they'll pull that trigger. And the other one we saw finishing off last week, Hugh McClough had a massive last quarter. He leads the league in score involvements in the AFL. Had 13 touches last week. Only had a solid first half with 14. I think he'll be another one that the coach, Chris Fagan, will be looking forward for a big second half.
Wonder if Fags will do the who thinks they're playing well today stand up, or whether that trick only works once. Still on Nick Dacos, King, in his work at centre bounce. You want to drill down on that?
Yeah, they smashed them at clearance, and it's about getting damage on those clearances, guys. Just have a little look. I mean, we saw this upstairs. It was pretty obvious to see, but they've won centre bounce clearances 7 times, and they've scored on 4 of those occasions. And I just think the way that Dacos and Penry work together is brilliant. This is all Nick. This is just putting his man Ashcroft into the traffic, gives it to Penry. It's always coming back. They want him on the outside. They want him in clear air so they can use his skills and kick to the advantage of these forwards. Good contested mark for the ball. But this one is just connection. Okay, so Nick's going to roll and become the sweeper, and Pendles is going to be set free to charge. And they just catch Lockie Neal doing something different. And I think it's on this side, I couldn't quite make out who it was. They're just in no man's land, Molly McCluggage. They're just in no man's land, just standing there waiting for the hit, and they're off at speed. So I think this is what set up the lead. Now, can you hang on? I know the Brisbane really responded in that second quarter, but their ability to get into clear air is the real concern.
Yeah, it has been. The leg speed out of stoppage has been a factor. Will Ashcroft just looks a bit off. We know Lockie Neal, they can get past him, and we know that Gabba's been a ground to score from centre bounces, and the Pies have done that.
They had a pretty taxing game at Norwood against the Western Bulldogs. It was incredibly hot, 34 degrees, so it would have taken a lot out of them, but their record when trailing at half-time at the moment, Joey, is incredibly impressive. Jace, what about the Lions and their ability to control the play, uncontested marks through the reef as expected?
Yeah, I mean, when you can control possession of the footy, it's a great way to stop the opposition from doing damage to you, but some of it has been a result of Collingwood's defensive structure. The way they've held them up and not given them the quick option they want. They've taken the corridor away from them on a lot of occasions. And when you see it this slow and then eventuating in a long kick, which they did a few times, that's a win to Collingwood. Now, every now and then, they show the right patience and they identify a target and it works out okay. But most of the time, I think you've got to give credit to Collingwood's defence. I think they've been very good.
Yeah, they haven't really been able to pierce a team with their kicking. That's normally when they're at their best. They slice through, but only 21 entries in the first half just shows how well Collingwood have been able to hold them up. And as Kingy said, when they have forced Brisbane long down the line, that's when the Pies have been able to bounce. So that's going to be the challenge for Brisbane in the second half.
This is tracking as their slowest ball movement game since 2019. So Craig McRae's been able to take away Brisbane's game. It doesn't mean you beat them, because they can find other ways, as Jason just said, but it's a great starting point.
Joey, you want to have a closer look at how they're going inside 50, the Brisbane Lions?
Well, they did have some good passage of play in that second quarter. They did start to find some marks, and some of the kicks in particular, I mean, when they are able to isolate a player, and as we said, they do have so many options inside 50 they can target. They look good. So they still had 8 marks inside 50. They had that at about halfway through that second quarter, so they're on track for a pretty good number, but it slowed up late, so they were able to get some good looks. The issue is a lot of their other looks also were wide to the boundary line, and that's what's created a bit of the inaccuracy with their scoring. Is they have had shots, but they have been in the pockets, and I think that's been Brisbane trying to make sure that they don't go into the corridor and allow Collingwood to counterpunch off a half-back. So they've just got to continue to work on that aspect, but they are getting some good looks when they do go inside 50. You just got to get some more entries.
Time now for David King's new favourite game. What's your decision? We did it last week at Adelaide Oval.
I'm a massive fan of the bounce, Jason, and I just want to get your assessment judgment, and I think the umpire's been very lenient with the 50-metre penalty. Now, clearly it's not 50, Jace. It's more than 50. Wants you to do the bounce style. What's your decision? How far is this 50-metre penalty?
Good one. I like these games.
We know Jared Healy is not a fan of 50-metre penalties.
Write it down, Sarah. Write it down.
Okay.
Write it down,
That's
Zoe.
an angle. That's
an angle. A bit of Pythagoras jumps
That
in.
is.
Let's go, guys. What do we got? Ooh. Righto, turn them around and show the camera. Well, who's Jason's
71?
gone? 69, 71,
68.3. I did like the point 3.
Yeah, hold them right up, Jace. Hold them right up. We've got the official scorers. The Russian judge has given it 69 metres. Let's have a look at the exact vision and get the meterage because you're all well under.
Oh, really?
This is massive. This is a huge error. This has given Collingwood a set shot at goal, which ended up being a double 50. Now, the centre square is 50 metres. So if you bring him on an angle, you probably should finish inside the centre square, really, or close to that
About
point.
there.
Somewhere there. Yep. And he's still going, still going, still going. 77.2 metres.
Thought you get a bit carried away when you said 8.
Well, it was very close.
That's a pretty big penalty, isn't
Very
it?
close. So Sarah wins. You got to bring your own game, Jay.
It's no good bounce. No good.
So that's a huge penalty.
For me coming last.
No.
No punishment for last.
Bring him in for the bounce.
Should be.
You love your penalties.
They've had a good run with the umps in the first half. But, you know, that's the role of the green. It happens.
We'll cook up a penalty for you.
No, we
post-game.
won't.
No, I think we shall. All right, coming up after the break, John Ralph is in the house for an edition of a Blowtorch. Round 6. How's it round 6 already? But Ralphie will have all the latest on the Blowtorch.
Matthews coming down, he realises the team have won. Smile on his face. He's in got it, the run is over. Let the celebrations begin.
All right, folks, half-time. Pies extend their lead 8-3, 51 over the Brisbane Lions, 4-8, 32. Of course, Brisbane Lions had one more scoring shot than the Pies, but the Pies extend their lead. Lions kicking 2 goals 4 in that second term. The Magpies 4 goals 1. Oh, we should be in for a ripping game. I think I was saying Brisbane have won their last 8 games, coming from behind at half-time. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this match here this evening up at the Gabba. They were just talking about a 50-metre penalty there given to the Collingwood. And, of course, they said it was about 77 metres, not 50 metres. So it was a bit of an error by the umpires. That being said, well, they did end up getting a goal out of that. But, well, Brisbane have squandered a few of their opportunities so far, kicking 8 behinds. Well, we've had a couple of rush behinds there also for the Brisbane Lions. Brisbane Lions still expecting to, I think if Collingwood drop their game at all, Brisbane Lions will come hard, but can the Magpies continue their form, what they've shown in the first half so far? I think they can. I think if they put on a couple more goals, I think if they kick the next couple of goals in the opening quarter, it's going to be tough for the Lions, although we know the Lions can come back hard from big margins behind. So you don't want to drop your game. You don't want to take the foot off the pedal, so to speak, against the Brisbane Lions. They're a fantastic side, absolutely. Just having a look at the polling vote. We had a poll who was going to win so far. Who's going to win this match? My gosh, we've got 71% saying Brisbane Lions. Where are those Collingwood supporters in the house? Come on. We need you to vote for Collingwood. There we go. If we're looking at the live ladder, folks, that's the live ladder as we speak. If the game ends now, that is the result. Collingwood will end up on top of the ladder. Isn't that beautiful to see the mighty Magpies end up on top if they win this game? Let's go and have a look at the AFL fantasy points. If you play that game, of course, up until half-time, Nick Dacos up to 70 points. Josh Dunkley, 55. Lockie Neal, 50. Everyone else under that. Of course, the goal scorers in the match thus far, of course, we've only got one multiple goal scorer on the ground at the moment. Of course, that's Daniel McStay from Collingwood. He's kicked 3 straight goals. Brody Myercheck. Bo McCreary kicked a long bomb from outside 50. He's got one. Ned Long, Will Hoskin-Elliott and Josh Dacos, all single goal scorers there for the Maggies. For the Brisbane Lions, Cam Rayner, all single goal scorers, Cam Rayner, Oscar McInerney, Eric Hipwood, Sam Day, the single goal scorers there. for Brisbane. Disposal getters on the ground. And of course, we all realise it does look like at the moment 3 Brownlow votes will go to Nick Dacos. He tops the table with 21. Hugh McCluggage next best for Brisbane on 15. Josh Dacos on 15 also. Lockie Neal 14. So some of the big guns right up the top. Scotty Pendlebury and Still Sidebottom both on 12 with Dunkley and Levi Ashcroft. Let's just roll down a little bit. Zorko on 10 all kicks. 10 kicks, he's had 3 marks. That's it. All right, let's keep on rolling down a little bit. Braden Maynard, 9 possessions there for the Maggies, working hard, of course, down back for them. Sam Day, he's had 7 possessions, 6 kicks, 1 mark. He's kicked a goal. Of course, Darcy Cameron having a little bit of a slow game, but doing a fair bit of the ruck work as well with Mason Cox. 7 disposals, 16 hit-outs. Will Ashcroft, a little bit slow this evening with just the 7. Same with Cam Rayner. He needs to get into the game for the Brisbane Lions, as I always say. He does slow start. I don't know what they've got to do to get him up and firing early. He's just had the 6 touches, 5 kicks, 1 goal, 1 for him at the moment. Daniel McStay, he does a good job down forward for the Maggies. He's getting, 2 and 3 defenders on him each time they target him down forward for the Maggies. Well, he's had 5 disposals. He had 3 kicks, 3 goals. So if he gets in his hands, look out. Two handballs, he's had 2 marks and 1 tackle. Bobby Hill, a lightning run down the wing, which resulted in the goal. A nice goal assist there from Bobby Hill with 5 disposals. Jamie Elliott, of course, I'd love to see him get a goal in his 200th game this evening. He's just had the 5 possessions, 2 kicks, 3 handballs, 2 behinds. Unfortunately for Jamie Elliott, he hasn't yet put it on the board. One of the people on the ground, which is a bit of surprise, who's been absolutely super quiet and just out of the game, that's Jordan Ngoe from the Magpies. We expected him to do big things this evening, but he hasn't fired a bullet yet this evening. Just had the 4 disposals, 2 kicks, 2 handballs, 1 tackle. So we're looking for things from him to come. Of course, Bo McCreary, Will Hoskin-Elliott, Mason Cox, just a 3, as a couple of the other stars for the Brisbane Lions, Charlie Cameron, Callum Archie, just with the 3. They certainly need to lift their game. Let's have a quick look at the team stats. All right, there's not much in that, folks. There's only 12. That's plus 12 to the Lions. They had a few more kicks, haven't they? What's that? 90, 20... 29 more kicks, but Collingwood 7 plus in the handball. Inside 50, 21 inside 50s for the Lions for their 12 scoring shots, which is not too bad. 61.9% efficiency inside forward 50. Of course, Collingwood 24 inside 50s for 11 scoring shots. But the good thing with that is 8 goals, 50% efficiency inside 50. Both teams pretty good actually around the ground. Disposal efficiency 79. Pretty good, pretty high there for the Lions. Of course, 75-6, above average for Collingwood also. Free kicks, just the 12 apiece. So it's a pretty good game. I know Lee Matthews said Collingwood getting a fair go with the free kicks, but it's only 12 all. So not too bad in that department. Collingwood, though, dominating in the hit-outs, 21-8. Clearances, Pies by 4. Centre clearances, Pies by 2, of course. Dacos doing well with Pendlebury in the centre there for the Maggies. Stoppage clearances, plus 2 to the Pies. I'm sure Brisbane will start to come back a little bit. Contested possessions, nothing much in that, just plus 3 to the Maggies. Uncontested, not a great deal there. 118, 100 turnovers. Really low turnover from both teams tonight. Both being pretty efficient, as we said. There we go. Just having a look at the marks there. Lions, though, well, they're just finding that little bit more space, aren't they? 33-62, nearly doubling Collingwood's marks. Marks inside 50. This was definitely expected, though. Brisbane are creating a little bit more space in their forward line to the Magpies. The defence of Brisbane's actually been pretty good, not allowing Collingwood to get much space at all there, whereas Brisbane sort of creating space, forwards playing for each other, leading different directions, pulling their pulling their counterparts other ways. Contested marks a little bit better in the air is Brisbane, 5-2. We'll just have a little bit of a look at the tackle count. Both teams seems to be tackling pretty good there, 19-16, but still well under. Not a great deal of tackling going on. That's extremely low, 16 and 19, as you can see. Season average, 62 and 66 for the Pies. Of course, tackles inside 50, 5-1. Brisbane on top there. All right, they are back to the main scoreboard there. We're only a minute and a half away from the bounce of the ball for the second half. Oh, hello, Shelty. Welcome in. Good to see you in there, Jerry. All right, folks, we will be back to the commentators as soon as they're back, but we're only a minute away from the bounce of the ball, whereas the Magpies by 19 points.
Collingwood used to do to teams. Round 3 versus Geelong, half-time, down by 26. Continued to power home, won by 9. And then last week, you gather out, they looked absolutely cooked versus the Dogs, down by 33 points. Then Eric lit it up with 5 in the second half. They won by 21. Their last 8 straight matches when they've been behind at half-time, they've somehow won, which goes back to Carlton with a record like that in 1909-10. So Collingwood fans have got plenty still to be nervous about. It is a 19-point margin, Lee Matthews, Nathan Buckley.
Yeah, it's definitely not done, and Collingwood would have discussed that through half-time. Getting to this point and starting the game off and having a lead on the scoreboard.
And they've made the move,
but there's still a lot of work to do.
But the Lions would have fancied that they almost, in general play, won the second quarter, but they lost it on the scoreboard. Bit inaccurate, but they evened up the clearances, evened up the inside 50. So scoreboard aside, they would be thinking they're right in the game. Don't panic.
Alistair Lynch.
It looks like Jared Berry's got the job on Dacos. So that's the matchup. Hard tag.
Cameron with the first tap down to Goey, taken to ground. Ball in dispute, came out to Lipinski, rolls it out in the Josh Dacos direction. He's immediately grabbed by Cameron, got rid of it. And Darcy Cameron with a dinky little ball to Hoskin Elliott.
Back 2 metres. Stand.
Hoskin Elliott to Lipinski. 19 points the margin as we reload in the second half. Hoskin Elliott. Nigel Berry and Dacos. Hoskin Elliott. Kick back in the Lipinski direction. Coming out to meet it, Meyer checking out.
They started to Nick Dacos. I thought it was one of their forward 6. Obviously, Berry's got the matchup. I'm quite sure why they start him there rather than the centre square where he'd been dominating.
He's pushing and scragging Berry. He shoved Dacos in the back 3 or 4 times. And now he's facing Nick away from the ball. Lipinski tries to bring his teammate in. Outside of the foot. It was clever. Elliott was brought to ground. Harris claims the mark. Mychik just steams him over the boundary.
Not 15.
Yeah.
Oscar, thank you.
A little bit of confusion there. As ball's thrown in.
Play on. Not 15, play on.
McCluggage, take it in the air, take it to ground.
Berry's tactics are pretty obvious. He's just going to make physical contact and nip Dacos as often as you possibly can. It takes a toll. It takes energy.
A bit of a fracas. Berry, a few choice words to Dacos, and Jamie Elliott didn't like it. Now De Goey's come in. It's a little bit off the ball here.
Holding Collingwood.
Now, Collingwood's going to get a free kick.
That was interesting. De Goey initiated the contact on Berry. And the umpire, Berry just sort of was a little bit too aggressive back, and Dacos has worked the free kick. There's always going to be a free kick probably going to come out of that somewhere. Bucks, it was only a matter of who was going to end up getting it.
So, adrenaline pumping out there early in the third term. De Goey, the boos of the crowd comes around, and it's going to swing out to the left for behind.
Zorko plays on immediately. You see something he likes in the form of McCluggage. Stands up in the contest. Side bottom. Stays down. Tries to work something on the left. He's got two men there. McCreary and Myercheck. Long's inboard. Darcy Cameron starting to float down to a dangerous area.
Play on. Yours.
Myercheck points. Then drops it. 20 from home towards Cox. Payne comes to the late spoil. Hurried kick out of defence. Cameron does well to get off Josh Dacos. Wants someone to come towards him. Tries to keep the ball moving forward quickly. That's just going to work straight into the hands of Darcy Moore, who plays on immediately.
Has a run. Looping ball to Myercheck. Then to Crisp. Has to beat one. Couldn't quite beat two. He got rid of it. Umpire said it was legal. Archie. Then Zorko finds the chest of Morris.
Great work by Collingwood to close it up there. That's when the Lions are going to have great opportunity if they can find that first kick out of their back half. Being able to find the next would have them out over the back.
Switching play. Payne to Leicester. Dunkley. Running 3 man's worth. Kick towards half forward. McCluggage. Strong hands. And then kicks towards the pockets. And punched away from Hipwood by Cameron with interest. Here's that free kick.
This is everyone sticking up for their teammate, and then eventually De Goey comes in.
I got the contest. Yes, you got that.
He's going over anyway, wouldn't he?
Yeah, lucky free kick probably.
A lot of blocking off the ball at the moment. Dacos is trying to stand beside Neil in the contest at the moment to free himself up. Morris tries to bust his way through Lipinski.
Thank you. Back this way, Darcy.
And he's still pushing Dacos at every possible opportunity. That's Nick. McInerney taps it down softly to his feet. Lipinski. They can't stop Nick Dacos at the moment. Long look away hand pass was okay to Josh Dacos with his step. Now forced to kick down the line towards Mason Cox. Gets front position. Myercheck fisted forward only as far as Zorko. He goes way back.
Yep, gives ground. Cluggage has to go ferreting after it, but he in the end gets it to Cameron. So it's a solid 20 points at the moment. Kick in the middle. Had to be pretty accurate. Ashcroft. Will. Short one back to Cameron. There's 4 goals. Cameron off reaching the top 100 top goal kickers of all time. Out to Hipwood, long penetrating ball. Rayner said himself couldn't quite get there. The wall of Moore was in front of him. So he plays on. Now this kick has to be good, and Ainsworth comes in to spoil. Picked up by Bailey. He's got a bit of time. Over the top he goes. Ainsworth, centering kick for the Lions. McInerney.
Brilliant play by Ainsworth. First the spoil, the squeeze up and the spoil. And Darcy Moore's intercept was brilliant. Looked like a really damaging entry, but this kick just gave Ainsworth a look. He was able to get a fist in, stayed on his feet, followed up. And as a halfback flanker, you wouldn't expect that he'd be able to have this sort of vision or the ability to execute, but it was great play.
All 205 centimetres of him standing there in isolation. Oscar McInerney. Starts it right, comes round. First goal of the second half for Brisbane.
It's really interesting, isn't it? The 20-point lead all of a sudden gets back to a goal, a couple of goals, and then Collingwood know that Brisbane are pretty strong in the second half. Brisbane know that. So half the battle is for Collingwood sort of not to tighten up because they know that Brisbane are usually going to come. It's that to be able to keep playing exactly the same and not let that little man on the shoulders buck start to stress.
Yeah, well, the 2 touches that Nick Dacos has got have been pretty well earned. And he had an opportunity to double up here early that would have maybe cleared that area. But Brisbane, Jared Berry's work and Brisbane's physicality actually kept it there. It was a 1 touch instead of a 1-2. So that's the dynamic shifts and changes, just simply from that one positional move.
Pies by 10 at quarter time, 19 at the half. Brisbane bring it back to a 14-point margin. Big clearances to be won. Lockie Neal, right man for the job. Ashcroft, McInerney's kicked a couple to a dangerous area. Day, his pocket picked by Quainer. Now to Moore. Here comes Fletcher. Bringing some great games of footy together. Looping hand pass. Bailey was immediately going to be collared.
Straight up. Don't freeze. Get up. Thanks, Zach. Oscar,
Jared
Darcy,
Berry's work here on Nick Dacos. He has this probably one of the few times he has been tackled tonight.
McInerney trying to give Neal a chance.
It's interesting how you try and use that pairing because Berry is an experienced tagger. He's got a big body and he's got power. If you're talking, there's other players in that area that's going to suit Berry. If they're out in space, that would suit Nick Dacos. So interesting how that pairing is positioned.
McInerney from the front gets it down to Neal, just too hot for him. Pendlebury long over the top, offline handball. Perryman couldn't quite. Long off the ground, off the deck, sort of bad kick. 40 metres at least, and the Lions can repel back from where it came from. Darting kick off the foot of Payne to Neal, and then a short one over the top. Surely not the required, but it's played anyway to Morris. Morris swings around, centering ball towards full forward. Elliott couldn't take the mark. Cameron round the corner, blazes away and out of bounds on the full.
They've lifted the heat, haven't they, this first 5 minutes, the Lions, and Collingwood just been a little bit sloppy with a couple of disposals. The pressure is really on now.
Howe. Deep in defence. Leicester. Elliott flies. Wouldn't be a game 200 celebration without a Jamie Elliott hanger. Herman provided an option, was ignored. It seems happy to stick with the boundary option. Down towards McStay. 3 goals in the first half. Zorko got one a touch high. Angeline Knight has saved Myercheck, and again there's a bit of aggro on the outer side. Umpire comes in to separate them. Zorko still being held. Zorko still having a chat to whoever will listen. And him and Myercheck are okay, I think. Still talking is Zorko. Oh, he might have given a bit of lip, is he?
Against Dane Zorko. Zen, thank you. Time back on.
So you heard it for the Zen. So it's going to be Josh Dacos receiving the flyby. Got it to Pendlebury. Pendlebury out wide, kicks it in the McStay direction. Couldn't quite drag it in. Under pressure, Fletcher. Ricocheting football, coming through. Leicester got rid of it. It's a hot football. Umpire's found a free kick. It's going to Ryan Leicester, working hard as always. And that kick hugs the boundary line, kept in by Fletcher. And the people around the club believe Fletcher could be a possible captain one day. Real clubman. He goes short. So Day called to play on, does so. Strong grab Levi Ashcroft. Again switching play, Handsworth. And out to Zorko. And Zorko's got a bit of time for a run. 2 bounces, and then Hill chased him down. Scrubber kick in the end. The Pies fans absolutely love that. Myercheck's kick back inside 50. Elliott with the quick hands. They can raffle it. Here goes Nick. Bang! Nick Dacos kicks the goal.
watching Jared Berry off ball for the last 45 seconds, and he made 2 really big runs to try and he actually dragged Collingwood players out of position, and he was about 30 metres away from Nick Dacos, goal side of him. But when Bobby Hill made this tackle here, then Dacos, his energy went through the roof. He was able to get on the end of it.
He just went. It really, the fumble mark by Payne was really critical, obviously, to bring the ball to the ground. But that tackle from Hill was great, so that gives them a chance. But really, this is virtually an uncontested mark. Fumble, and then that's when Dacos can do that 100-metre. Well, thinking about he might be out. Where's Count doing nothing for half an hour?
I was going to say, Bobby, he's in the wrong spot. He should be in stall. There's a big race there on Monday.
Well, it's a game of cat and mouse, and that's really, like, Jared Berry's doing, I think he's doing the right thing, but that turnover was unexpected. But it's going to be interesting and fascinating to watch that and to see what's Berry's reaction to that goal.
Interesting discussion between Zorko and the coach, not exactly seeing eye to eye there. Some advice from the skipper as the way looking at body language. Cox gets a foot into it. Free kick side bottom, so Collingwood got the answers at the moment. 20-point margin. Wants to a spot to side bottom. Sends it right there to Cox. And the big man, he's just too tall. He's missed one opportunity in front of the sticks tonight, but this will take Collingwood out to a game-high 26-point margin.
Nice controlled kick, though. It wasn't a long high kick that gives a chance for everyone to get under the ball. It was a drill, drop punt, and Mason Cox got his full stretch up, and very hard to spoil when he gets that full stretch.
Game 130. Looking for goal number 124, Mason Cox. The boos come for the man from Texas, who's directly in front, and he misses. Let off for the home side. And he's so good at converting from that area as Cox.
Fletcher's long ball, Quaynor spoilt in the air by Dunkley, falls to side bottom. Side bottom's low ball, drills it onto the chest of Hoskin Elliott, who plays on quickly. He's got Frampton out wide, spoils in the air, Meyer check. Well, it's going to be a free kick for a push anyway. They're almost off to the races, but it comes back to the square. Leicester. A short, Tunstall, not the required trip, was it? No, that was from the officiating umpire, but it worked into the next zone, who was happy with it. Here's Dane Zorko. A little bit to think about. High ball, draws a crowd. Morris couldn't mark it, but he gets a second chance out the back. He's got Rayner running, ignores him. Kick inside 50. Day, quick one to Bailey. Bailey to the top of the square. Archie wasn't looking initially and couldn't quite.
They're so damaging from those long down the lines when they get out the back. Their ability to speed up and use their body language, a bit interesting on the bench. There was a bit of a blow up, but they won't be sitting on that for too long. They've been in each other's corner for a long time, and that'll turn around real quick.
Berry trying to get off Dacos. Ashcroft. It's a disappointing entry inside. Eric was at the top of the square demanding it. Dumped out the full. This is the discussion between coach and player. You just leave it at this stage, Lee, as coach?
Women leave us with that conversation.
You just move on from it?
No, don't have harsh. Yeah, they're quite short conversations, particularly if they're a little bit unfriendly.
Ainsworth. Not sure how many players would have been unfriendly.
That was probably about just saying, calm down, make sure that the 50-metre penalty for dissent is a bad one. So that would have only just been a calm down.
They happen all the time. But you get them on camera and they go, fascinating.
Something different, yeah.
Day and Cox. Well, he hit Cox on the bonce. Round it goes. Look at Nick Dacos weaving through the traffic again. Out to Josh Dacos. Perryman with a little bit of work to do off a step round the corner. Entry inside 50. Myercheck not quite. Jamie Elliott. Elliott's got the football game. 200. It's his party, but that's not it.
Third behind for Jamie Elliott tonight.
A couple of bad misses, the Mason Cox set shot and that one, they were sort of kind of gimmies. Just to keep the door open for Brisbane.
Look all over them at the moment though, Collingwood. Tunstall.
Mid-2.
Piercing kick down the wing towards Archie. Quaynor, great battle. Just doesn't lose one-on-one to Quaynor. Perryman comes to help him. Lipinski back to the aforementioned Quaynor. Bends forward. Slices it into Elliott. He'll get a fourth attempt for a goal in game 200.
It was a different play then. The Lions had a couple of plays free. If they could have got that extra kick into their 50, and Collingwood had 2 or 3 back the other way. That was just a question who was going to actually win the contest, and Quaynor was the one who turned the play.
Debut back in round 9, 2012, Jamie Elliott, playing his 200th game for the club tonight. He's a premiership player. He's a master of the hanger. He's kicked some clutch goals. This to take it out to 28 points. Elliott in game 200. They come from everywhere. And the Pies have got a big gap now on the Premiers.
That was his mum and sister there. Sister on the left, mum on the right. I haven't seen his nephew for a while, but that could be his nephew.
He's 200 game, but he certainly would have a big highlight reel. He has done some special things on the field, hasn't he, Jamie Elliott? It's almost, I always think of him, Bucks, as what they used to call the old country full forward. That if he was another sort of 4 inches taller, he'd be a really good full forward, but he's really good for his size, but clearly not great height.
Well, this is some of the stuff you're talking about, Lee. That is extraordinary.
Very talented player.
Much loved by the Collingwood fan base.
There's high forwards that get all the way up the ground and do a lot of gut running. He hasn't become that player. He stayed as the strike forward, as a forward 50, a deep, maybe 2 or 3 player, but has done so effectively. It's a hard way to make a living.
Collingwood extend the lead to 28. Ellie down, long with quick hands, looking for Nick Dacos, who just throws his boot at it. Rolling ball, set up for side bottom, running laterally, running sideways, but was good skills to Hoskin Elliott.
Hoskin Elliott's last 20 minutes, he's had a real impact late in that second quarter, and then now that's his 6th mark. Leads all comers for Collingwood.
Hoskin Elliott looking for Myercheck and found him. Hoskin Elliott filling the hole really well with a hard lead.
Please, Jasper. That is your line, Brody.
Andrew's on interchange at the moment, so he just was able to get the sort of the medium-sized Fletcher as the match-up against Myercheck, and Myercheck was a bit too big, but too tall.
Big kick from outside 50. It's going to sit up in the square. No one's been able to drag it in. The front kneel, front and square. Got the 1-2 with Dunkley, McCluggage, and then he keeps burning through. Little kick on the shoelaces of Cameron. Brisbane on the slingshot. Oh, kick was too hot. And Day knew it, gave up pretty quickly. Keeping it in was Quaynor, hung it out to dry. Back inboard he goes. Pendlebury's got side bottom calling for it. How many times have those two names been called together? Pendlebury to side bottom.
Looked away, then the turnover, Nathan, off the boot of Day.
Yeah, Cameron's decision, he didn't use Jasper Fletcher, who was running past, and then missed that kick by 10 metres. So that was a promising transition for Brisbane that was broken down by one poor decision.
Pendlebury up and under ball. McStay kicked 3 in the first half. He's busted out of the contest. Doesn't matter though, because the big frame of Myercheck, and there is Hoskin Elliott, gets forward of his man Lester. He's within range to go. He's running hard for him.
You go mid too, Kurt.
Collingwood have just been able to impose themselves on the contest the last 5 or 10. They've kicked the last 2 goals. They've had the ball inside 50 in their front half for the most part.
Hoskin Elliott started life as a Giant, 9th year at the Pies.
Play on. End zone.
Makes good contact. As he got the distance, Hoskin Elliott just died late into the post.
And on top of that, Bucks, they're 8-2 up in clearances this quarter. Sort of Brisbane were able to correct it a little, but then big turnaround in this third quarter, so they're really on top at the moment.
Collingwood supporter just quieting down his Brisbane mate there from giving him too much over the fence.
Pretty fair, I would have thought.
Play on, yours.
Fletcher. 2-on-1 here. Pies have the numbers. Day had to be good, couldn't quite mark it, and he got the free kick anyway.
Outside 5.
So Day. Actually to Wilmot. Wilmot standing on the mark so he can charge ahead. Does so.
Brisbane look like they're a little frustrated about not being able to get it through the middle.
Day's kick had to be accurate. There were two Pies that were hovering there. They just about win the football. De Goey on hands and knees couldn't. Long picked it up, got it to Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos kicks it to Cox. Cox back to Long. Long ball this time. Inside 50 in the Elliott direction and also the Lipinski direction. Hill's there as well. Handball over the top from Hill looking for Lipinski. Fell to Fletcher, Zorko, and then Levi Ashcroft with a little bit to do, tucked it under the arm and did pretty well in the end. Off a step, kicks into the congestion. Up they go. No mark. Cameron pads it down. It's almost out. They've kept it in, have they? No. Boundary umpire wants it.
6 disposals for Nick Dacos for the quarter on a goal. And some heavy opposition from Berry. 29-point margin. 10 at quarter time, Collingwood. 19 at half time. They've extended it by 10 out to 29. Stopping the fast finishing Lions at the moment. And it's in the hands of Mychek again. Every time they go inside 50, they look dangerous, the Pies.
We're saying it's a low intercept game in the first half. Collingwood only turned the ball over in their front half of the field 3 times in the first half. They've done it 4 times already this quarter. You can just see them starting to, work on Brisbane. Brisbane are struggling to move the ball through the middle of the ground, and they're a bit frustrated trying to squeeze it in there a little bit. More turnovers resulting.
Mychek looking for a second from long range. A beautiful looking drop punt. Collingwood have kicked 5 of the last 6. Mychek's got 2. And they're out now by 35 points, the Pies.
Yes, Harris Andrews has actually been on the bench seemingly for the last 5 minutes or so, and Mychek a couple of times has had a match up against Fletcher, who's more a back flank type than a key defender, and when they come, it really just is who can reach the highest, and Mychek just did it better. So I think Andrews is coming back on the ground now, but that's been a bad 5 minutes in the aerial back 50 for the Lions without the captain's absence.
And it wasn't a like for like when Harris came off, because he came off the ground. Dane Zorko went back on. So you're right, Lee. That's why they had to shuffle up to Fletcher on that matchup.
You can't ignore that maybe the Nick Dacos tag is doing something about that. Jared Berry started as a defender at the beginning of this quarter. He's been in the midfield. He's had to go forward when Nick Dacos started as a high back at one point.
Back in the middle, Cameron won it down. Bailey overrun it. Pendlebury off the ground. Dunkley progresses at 35 metres. Rolling football. Quaynor's going to meet it first against Cameron. Good contest. Quaynor handballs it to Maynard. Tries to get it back to Quaynor. In the end, it's Dunkley off a standing start. Snap round the body. Hipwood's going to go up. Couldn't quite complete the grab and over.
I think he was mentioning in the pre-match that Darcy Moore's definitely getting back to his best form. His positioning's a lot better. He's on his front foot. He's more aggressive, to squeeze forward on run and carry or to go and intercept mark. He's been dominant. He's on Eric Hipwood at the moment and won his position more often than not.
Need something here, the Lions. Ashcroft tries to burst his way through traffic. It hasn't been Charlie Cameron's night as yet. Hassled off the footy. Collingwood got the answers again off half-back. Mychek. Fresh off kicking his second. Fletcher gets his man.
Thanks, guys. Tap it straight away. Thanks, Brody. Rux, I'm backing out here. Hold the meter. Hold the meter. Both engaged. Play on. Ball spin.
Pretty much limping away there. Just
Hold that
when
meat
he
up back in our guys.
took
Watch
that
the line.
handball and went to accept the tackle, just looked like he twisted his right leg in some shape.
Brisbane. Come back on.
Mid-switch footy.
Yep, stand. Thank you. Come back.
McInerney with the free kick. 3-4-1 goal. The score in the third quarter. Collingwood with the ascendancy. McInerney. Kick 2. Gives it everything. Loads up. It's going to swing left. It's going to sit up in the square. Front and square is crisp. Runs away with it. Able to have a bounce. Leaves D50 with Long and then barging through Quaynor. Deflects to Degoe. They're moving it fast. Here come the Pies. McCreary, who's one of the fastest on the ground. 50 metres out towards the top of the square. McStay.
Oh, that's great ball movement, isn't it? That really is just completely cutting through the opposition midfield from back pocket to forward pocket, set shot at goal. That's really, really good, precise running and disposal.
So that was emphatic. Off rebound, but not able to put the icing on the cake that time, McStay, after he's kicked 3 already tonight.
Fletcher, side bottom. Wobbly old ball down towards my check. Managed to keep the ball in only momentarily.
Just keep coming up with the ball. They're really well clear. That clearance is now a 16-28 after being 13-17 at half time. So these contested part of the game, which is where the Lions have actually excelled in the second phases of games. Collingwood have kept going tonight.
Plus 10 inside 50s now the Pies. 38-28. McCreary. Elliott. He's kicked 1 in game 200. Jamie Elliott. More icing on the cake for the champ. Collingwood out by 42. And they are dominating the Premiers.
Jamie Elliott there on the wraparound. There was a lot of physicality by the Brisbane players. They were definitely looking to take Collingwood's targets out, and they actually were able to win that clearance with Zach Bailey. But that's a really dangerous position to force the ball into. There was a smother by Darcy Cameron, clean hands by McCreary, and then only needed a step or two, Jamie Elliott, to finish effectively there.
And coming up with the ball out of the congested areas, they're just sharper than the Lions are as a team. I mean, they've been a little bit inaccurate. 4 goals, 5, so they actually haven't taken their chances, but they're getting plenty of them now.
2-3 tonight. 2 goals, 3 for Jamie Elliott. 10 touches. He's 3 away from 300 AFL career goals. Cameron attempts to get it to Degoe. Stolen by the Lions and Dunkley. His kick grabbed by Cameron off a step-up sky ball. It's been taken easily by Archie. Well, that was some third quarter by Collingwood. They have put the reigning premiers to the sword, and it's out to 42 points, Mark Howard.
Pies by 10 at quarter time, 19 at the half. They've dominated that term to extend it out 12-8-80 to Brisbane 5-8-38. A game-high 42-point margin. That man Jamie Elliott's kicked a couple. So much footy coming your way on Fox this Easter. And always the big clash on Monday. Geelong off a win, Hawthorn off their first loss, the MCG 230. Straight after that, AFL 360, Gaz and Jared with both coaches Sam Mitchell and Chris Scott. And then Lee Matthews is jumping down onto the couch with Jack Revolt's team. You see all the best right here on Fox.
All right, how's this, folks? How's this? If you're a Collingwood supporter, you are absolutely over the moon. 12-8-80, the Magpies, Brisbane Lions 5-8-38. I tell you what, that was a dominating quarter by the mighty Magpies. This game could have been over. It could have been in the bag, sealed and delivered already. He just missed 2 or 3 very gettable, easy goals. and let the Lions... 42 points the margin here. You know what? I'd like to say this game is over, but knowing the Brisbane Lions, what they can do, I'm not writing them off, even though, you know what, they've got to kick more in the final quarter than their total score so far, and they've got to restrict Collingwood from scoring. Pies kicking 4 goals, 5 in that third term, the Brisbane Lions. One solitary goal. It was just, as I said, pure domination. It was poetry in motion, folks, if you're a Collingwood fan. Of course, I want to say g'day to Paul, who's in the chat. I tell you what, Paul, while you're sitting there, BG, having in your Korean restaurant, that food will be tasting even better. Listening in or watching the game, seeing your team, the Magpies, doing so well. Thanks for Addy G, Adrian Sports Channel, for jumping back in. Of course, Adrian's second favourite team, Collingwood, is doing really well this evening. There we go. Thanks, Addy G. You're the man. All right, folks, I just want to put this back up. That is the live ladder. The live ladder after this game, Collingwood win. They are on top of the ladder. Take a picture, take a photo, stick that on your wall, frame it. There we go. The Magpies on top of the ladder. 2025 AFL football season. There we go. Could Collingwood be the flag favourites now after round 6? Tell you what. The way they're going, the way they're looking, they certainly could be. Let's just have a quick look at the stats, because I know a lot of people out there are following. Daniel McStay, there we go. He should have put up 4 on the board. He missed a simple goal there, just a snap kick off the mark. It was pretty simple, but he hit it a little bit square and it faded. Went through the behind post. There we go. 3 goals, 1. Daniel McStay leads the goal scoring out on the ground. Brody Myercheck worked back into the game nicely there in that third term. He's up to 2 goals. Jamie Elliott, the man of the moment, he's celebrating his 200th game this evening. He's kicked 2. Tell you what, didn't the boys get around him when he kicked his first and second? Bo McCreary, Ned Long, Will Hoskin Elliott, Nick Dacos, the superstar, and his superstar brother Josh Dacos. Single goal scorers there for the Maggies. And of course, the only multiple goal scorer on the ground for the Brisbane Lions is their ruckman, Oscar McInerney. What he puts in all the time. He's kicked 2 goals, the big man. Cam Rayner, Eric Hipwood, Sam Day. That's it. Single goal scorers. Not many happening. Disposal count, of course, the champion leading the way by 8. Nick Dacos with 28. Lockie Neal, the best for the Lions, on 20. Josh Dacos on 20 also for the Maggies. We're still side bottom 19. Hugh McCluggage, don't forget your luggage, on 18. We'll just run through the stats. Let me just roll down the board just in case anyone want to take a little quick sneak peek of their player, or if they're watching the replay and they can come to the stats where their player is at 3/4 time. There we go. Of course, Charlie Cameron, it's just not his night tonight, is it? Just the 9 disposals. He's just kicked 1 behind. Of course, Cam Rayner, the same, and Eric Hipwood, just 1 goal, 1. 6 and 7 possessions for the 2. There we go. That are your player stats. I'm going to take you back down to the ground, because we are about to get to the bounce of the ball for the final quarter. We are 1 minute away, folks. If you're a Magpie fan, keep on cheering them on. Let's see almighty Magpies get up for victory over Brisbane, the reigning premiers. Go Pies from me, but it's the Magpies by 42 points heading into the bounce for the final quarter. Let's go Pies. Let's head you back down to the ground, and they'll take us into the bounce for the final quarter.
Of that third quarter and turn things around in the clearance situation. What's really stood out is their ability to score from clearances. 5 goals, 7 to just 3 behinds for the Brisbane Lions, and we started to see Collingwood start to move the ball from the back half as well and hit the scoreboard. We spoke at quarter time. The luxury item of having Dan McStay take big contested grabs. They only had the 2 forward 50 marks in that first term. They're up to 10. Just feels like the game's about to blow wide open for the Pies. A massive task for the Brisbane Lions in this last term.
Well, we know it can be done, but Lee Matthews and Nathan Buckley in the commentary box, how are they going to do it?
Yeah, well, I mean, basically, it always starts with the contested possessions and the clearances, and on that part of the game, Collingwood were great in the first quarter. The Lions sort of evened it up in the second quarter, but then got dominated in that quarter. The clearances ended up being 4-12, so they keep coming up with the ball out of congestion, and it's very hard to get it back off them.
Yeah, Collingwood,
that's really what Collingwood are doing really well.
they kicked 4 goals 5 from 14 entries, and if there was, they weren't able to convert that well in their first half, so they were able to turn the ball over the front half a little bit, connect, and they probably, if they kicked a bit straighter, would be a little bit further ahead. But Brisbane's game fell apart a little bit in terms of transition and moving the ball effectively. They'd love to see that, the contest first and then the ball used to be able to really challenge the Collingwood back six.
So it was Collingwood by 10 at quarter time, 14 at half time, and now 42 at three-quarter time. We're away in the final term. Cameron down to Nick Dacos, stolen away by McInerney. In the air it goes. Neil was able to grab the football, got it out wide to Berry. Berry needing to be fast. Archie, quick hands. Ball by Hipwood inside 50. Cameron sets himself. Rayner in from the side and gets a free kick. Free kick to Morris.
Thanks, guys. Just that right arm went around him. Got his other arm.
Just create the overlap.
Heard the explanation, umpire Nick Foot to Jeremy Howe, the arm round the body.
Yeah, we're just having a chat, working out exactly why the free kick was played against him. And just,
as soon as the arm goes round, the umpire says, blow the whistle.
So Morris comes in.
Went to behind. Please check to see when behind side.
Score abuse.
Umpire's calling it behind. Please confirm.
Slice it off the
Be complete.
outside.
Looking at this angle, you can see the ball crosses the line on the behind side of the post. This is on the scoreboard.
Just a positional shift too. Jared Berry's gone out to the wing. Josh Dunkley was on Nick Dacos in that centre bounce. Was the tag effective? Yeah, Nick's touches were harder to come by, but it didn't work for Brisbane overall.
Dacos 28 in the goal. Josh Dacos 20 in the goal.
Need two.
They needed to get things going. A poor miss from Morris. Morris with the fist only as far as Nick Dacos. Edges it around the line towards Cox. Overrunning it, McStay. Need to really click into gear in this final term. Harris Andrews stands up in the McCreary tackle.
Pin on the ground. Darcy, I'll stop. Give us a move here, guys. Darcy, hold the meter, Darcy.
There's still Lynch down on the boundary for us tonight. Cameron pats it down only as far as Neil and Fletcher. Throws it on the boot. Rayner with the big spoil as the pack collapses it out.
Here is the young man. Marshall and Ned Allen, the unused sub. Darcy Moore copying a knee from Jeremy Howe.
Ooh, that's a heavy.
Cameron down to Dacos, Pendlebury, Maynard has some numbers. McCreary has crisp out wider, picks it up himself, goes inside 50, looks inboard to Goey, couldn't quite complete the mark, but got the push. But it's Unite. And you see Darcy Moore, there was some claret just trickling from the left ear. And to Goey sheer. And through it goes.
It's been a consolidated team performance thus far. Collingwood have defended really well. They've got their running game, the clearance game has definitely been really strong throughout. And now they've got the transition game, the running, rebounding game going. And that's starting to really wear on the Brisbane back six, and they've been able to find their defenders in really compromising positions, and whether it's been free kicks or marks, they've scored a lot better after half-time in terms of a percentage of their inside 50s.
The pressure's been outstanding. When there was that sort of corner of the centre square before the ball ended up going to McCreary, there was tackle after tackle after tackle. The line just couldn't find that half a yard to be able to clear the ball. I mean, so the defensive pressure has been out there most of the night by Collingwood. Obviously, Darcy Moore go into the concussion protocol to make sure that he hasn't suffered a concussion. He's certainly split his heel a little bit.
Massive Anzac Day clash on Friday, so hopefully the skipper's good to go. They've kicked the last 5 and 7 of the last 8 goals of this match. Collingwood, they are dominating the Premiers on their home patch.
And the Lions have made the subs, so Sam Marshall on for his first game. Cal Archie's been subbed out. Looks like he's struggling with that right knee.
It's Dallas to Lynch. Another inside 50 towards Cameron. Falls into the hands of Payne. He can't take the mark. Cox sees it across the line. As Ed Allen gets ready to come onto the ground. And there is the young man, Sam Marshall, a Lions Academy member from the under-12s, won a premiership with the Sandy Dragons last year, 28 disposals, 9 score involvements and 2 goals in that grand final. Now gets his chance for the reigning premiers.
Cameron belts it down on hands and knees. Josh Dacos can't quite get it free.
There's Josh. Thank you. That's all good. Back it out this way. Darcy Oscar
Saw
here.
that friendly fire with the left leg of Jeremy Howe. Cameron again wins it down. McCreary through his legs. A tunnel ball going on. Lester off a step, bangs it down the line. Hitwood couldn't quite complete the mark. Howe wrestling for it. Ball to be won. It was won by McCluggage. Morris over the top. Rayner, clever tap out to Berry. Berry back to Rayner. Working in concert with each other. Little sidestep, that'll do. Berry kick towards the pocket. It was over the head of a very frustrated Bailey. And Frampton was all over it.
Pushed back really hard, Collingwood. Could they see they had lost possession on that the Lions half-forward flag. And massive 2 or 3 players for Collingwood extra got back into the back 50. They've done that really well tonight.
Kind of plays on to the outer wing. Big pack of players. Mychek goes to ground in the contest. The toe poke from Pendlebury. There's another go to Scott. Here's Archie as Told is subbed out.
Thanks, gents. Thanks, buddy. Cheers, mate. Coming straight back here. Josh, Nick.
The wrong Dacos there, the arm.
Collingwood.
Free kick going to Cameron in the ruck contest.
Clear out, boys.
What do you liked about Collingwood tonight, Lee?
Just about everything. The all 3 phases of the game, and they've been good with ball in handle. Certainly in the second half, the longer the game's gone. But their tackling pressure's been good. Just really good in the contest.
And Brisbane, conversely, Nathan, what are they reflecting on at this stage?
Yeah, well, this is the first time that I suppose they've been exposed to sustained pressure throughout the 4 quarters and haven't been able to break a game open with their offence after half-time. So Collingwood defended really well last week, and it looks like they've schooled that up, improving over the last couple of weeks. So they'll test any offence at the moment.
Good grab by Howe. Brisbane take on St Kilda away next week. Obviously Collingwood in that Anzac Day clash. Nice spread on the switch to Lipinski. Quainer runs hard ahead of the footy. Thought about the handball too in the end. Pulled the trigger on the kick to Elliott's. Kick 2 in the third in game 200. Happy to go back to Quainer. A little bit of space ahead of him. Just waxing. To Nick Dacos. Back to Elliott. Possession 32 for Dacos alongside his goal. 6 inside 50s and 8 clearances. So this is Jamie Elliott territory, normally deep in a game with it on the line.
End zone.
Too far out, even for Elliott.
They do like this mode, Collingwood, when they just are prepared just to lock the ball in their front third. They set up really well behind the ball. They don't put the ball in any compromising turnover positions, and they just squeeze.
Cameron from the air. Long had the ball taken off him, and it was in the end a high tackle.
Move away. Stand. Head. Stand.
You were chatting out the numerous phases of the game that Brisbane have been dominated today. The one that really stands out as well, they haven't been allowed into the corridor. Like from this position, normally over the course of the last month, they hit this corridor kick on the 45, but Collingwood have just blocked it off from the very first bounce.
Fletcher. Halfback's going to hug the line. Down he goes. Oh, Oh, the big leap from Morris was way too early, but Day brought it down. Goes inboard. Bailey looking for Hipwood. One hand, grabbed it. That was good skill from the big man, who just stuck the big right mid out. He was able to gather it in. Good control of the football. So if there's going to be any sign of life, this just has to go in. And he's drilled it. Little fist pump. It's a start. He's kicked 2 on the back of his 5 last week.
Yes, as Lynchy was pointing out, I think it was a bit of behind the goals vision that we saw during the week of just the Collingwood just getting in the right holes and getting the right distances to make sure that the Swans last week in Gatherround in Adelaide couldn't get back through the centre square. And as you point out, Lynchy, that today the Lions have had to go virtually wide out of their back 50 when they want to come back through the centre square.
Looking at this one, it'd be clutching at straws, but there was a little Logan Morris, just a little bit of a push here. I don't think that contributed to the contact at all. That was going to happen anyway. But given the environment that we've been in, I don't think that won't pass the threshold.
And no concern?
I don't think so. But it was highlighted.
McInerney, Cox do battle in the middle. Dunkley can't get a clearance to go. He misses it by his fist. Goes back to Berry. Being released from the Dacos tag. He's tight on Crisp at the moment. A free kick to Jack Crisp.
And whilst you're talking about Darcy Moore, looks like Ed Allen has got the subs vest off and he's about to enter the game. So that's probably not a good news story for Darcy Moore. I'll keep you updated.
Hopefully it's not a concussion situation.
Well, there's certainly severe enough contact for him to bleed from maybe a gash on his. So I think that's about 50-50 whether that would be something that ends up going into concussion protocol and then obviously an automatic week off if so.
Don't hold!
Curry goes down in the contest. And there is a possession for the debutant Marshall. His first. Pendlebury over the top of him. Another one for Marshall. Starts nicely. Good little step. And towards Hipwood by hand now. He just over-ends it down the line. Doesn't really help anyone, that.
Two players watched it go out, really. He certainly kicked it towards the boundary line, so I guess that's insufficient intent, but still, that's a pretty harsh call, I would have thought.
Sub-Ed Allen on the phone. Maynard. Big pack of players. The umpires pluck one. It's going to the 205-centimetre man, Oscar McInerney.
Move it on, play on, play on.
McInerney's kick in the Morris direction. He's got 2 to beat. Cox came in from the side. Ashcroft. Errant handball. Snatched by Crisp. Down the throat of McCreary. Plays on quickly. Josh Dacos sprints hard. Kicks to Elliott in the middle of the Gabba. A packed Gabba tonight. To Goey. Penetrating ball in the Meyer check direction and the McStay direction. Hill's there for the Crubs. Hill around the corner. He's been brilliant. He has been outstanding tonight. Little bit of prime time brilliance from Bobby Hill.
Yeah, that run-down tackle in the third quarter was kind of really important in just keeping the Collingwood sort of domination in that third, or the goal-scoring domination. That one was just a bit of a freaky skill, isn't it? He hasn't got a whole lot of the ball tonight, Brad Hill, but he's certainly always lively if he can get ball in hand with a little bit of space.
Just so controlled with their offence now. Collingwood. McCreary took that mark and he wouldn't have moved the ball on unless he felt like he was giving it to a player in time and space, and that was Josh Dacos. Then again, Jamie Elliott only gave it to De Goey when he had time and space, and they were able to take a big chunk of territory once more. Winning a lot of contests, controlling transition.
So Ed Allen comes in. Darcy Moore has been subbed out. Hopefully he's able to play Anzac Day. More importantly, hopefully his health is all okay. So Ed Allen comes into the game. Fine finish from Bobby Hill. Another free kick. Advantage played to Long, who does just that out to space. He gets it away towards McStay. Just chisels it forward. Cameron back with the flight. They're everywhere. Collingwood all over them. Wilmot just trying to clear his defence any way possible. Chris takes a good strong mark. Inside 50s now, 45 to 31, so plus 14, the Pies. Dacos has had 32, Josh 23, Nathan.
The 31's the big one.
Yep.
Last time the Lions had an inside 50 count that low.
So Chris playing his 243rd straight game from a long way out, makes good contact right to a dangerous area. If all things go Jack Crisp's way, he'll equal Jim Stein's record for most consecutive games of football Anzac Day next week. But there's a bit of footy to go before then.
Remarkable achievement, isn't it, without an RDO at any time in that decade of football. So Hipwoods gets onto it quickly. Rayner leading back. Barks. Brisbane fans will be happy that this live wire has his signature in 2031 at this team.
Someone get the clock.
7 touches tonight, 1 goal, 1. And Marina starts it right at swinging around, but spoiling it right last line was Mason Cox.
Just haven't been able to give their front six enough supply at pace at all. That's at 32 inside 50s now. So Bailey, Rayner, Cameron just haven't been able to get enough supply to hit the scoreboard often enough. The game's been spent too much in Collingwood's front half for that.
Dacos pinpoints side bottom, his 21st disposal the season he's having. Steele on the chest of Cox. Long by hand. Inboard to Pendlebury, trying to scoop it up between his legs. Gee, was taken high by Bailey.
Stand. Play on line.
Dacos on the running receive, just sprints away from Lockie. Neal looks back at him. Neal did well just to lay a hand on him. Side bottom, trying to pinpoint a ball inside 50 with Harris Andrews in the area is not easy. Myercheck powers his way through, dropped the footy.
Brisbane. Stand there, Brady.
Just in Collingwood, I mean, they look like goal lead with 8 minutes to go, but they're the 4th time in a row they've beaten the Lions, and part of it is they've paid Mason Cox to have the extra tall, both, I guess, to help in the ruck.
Pies everywhere here. Pendlebury to Goey.
And there's that aggressive kick from Dane Zorko that we haven't really seen all night, but late in this game he's just tried to pull the trigger on an optimistic one, and it was where all the Pies defenders were set up.
To go, he's just been the cherry on the cake. You know, he missed last week. You know, came back in, only had 7 touches, a couple of goals the game before that, so he doesn't have to be a high possession getting player.
9 touches and 1 goal, 1 tonight. It gives that a rise, and it's a goal. More cream on the cake. They've been excellent.
It's a fair luxury to have. You know, a match winner in De Goey at the moment is not required to, you know, to be a 25 possession getting player through the midfield. He's got the opportunity to come in and play that forward role. Go into centre bounces and clearance here and there, but the team structure has dictated and allowed him to just be a lower possession getting player and just play front half as he heads into the centre bounce right now.
The chant of Collingwood goes round the Gabba. They're beaten by 52 points in round 0 by the Giants. As we look across the Brisbane skyline, they were too old, they were too slow bucks, and since then they're going to bang 5 in a row and be right up the top.
Yeah, they've staked their claim this year. There's no doubt they've jumped in the year really well. And defensively, the numbers that we'll sort of see during the week, they're just been very hard to score against since the round 0 game against GWS.
Cox jumps early into McInerney. McCluggage to go, he do battle. Cox goes off the ground. There is Ed Allen, the sub on for Darcy Moore, who cops some friendly fire. A knee to the head. McCreary has been good in the second half. Back to DeGoey on the left. Tries to work it round the corner. Slight fumble by Leicester. Opens the door for Elliott's. Kick 2 at 200. Umpire will get involved.
Back this way. Rouns, Oscar, Daniel.
A happy Collingwood coach. McInerney. And Gangley out of the ruck contest. Dacos brings it to ground. Wilmot towards Tunstall now. Berry wobbles it round the corner. Howe gets a late fist on Hipwood. Wants to access the middle. It's a risky kick. It'll work out though. He's landed in the hands of the debutant Sammy Marshall.
He's had a bit of a touch of the Sheridan in the last 10 minutes or so. Marshall, long probing ball in the day direction, couldn't quite, so completes it. And then Rayner got one.
Cam, come back behind you, please. Park's here. Still.
So he just couldn't quite control it to the ground today, and then Rayner runs onto it and gets a high one.
Stand, please, up and down.
So a few consolation prizes late here.
5 metres, please. Keep going. Mason! Keep going.
Cam Rayner can kick from about 35 slight angle.
You've got to go 5 metres behind still. Thank you.
So Rayner comes in. And it's all about a little bit of credibility on the score now.
We're getting late in the type of game it's been tonight. The pressure ratings have been fairly low from both sides. I mean, it's been a lot of sort of, I guess, maintaining possession without actually getting anywhere. The inside 50s, that's 34 to Brisbane, which is really poor. Collingwood have only had 48, so it's not as if it's been a gigantic inside 59, which means a lot of balls and a lot of disposals have just been not making ground. That's the way the game has played out.
I think the skills of the players has stood out as well. There's been a lot of tap-ons, like the handball receives percentage is high compared to handballs given. So, and the kicking efficiency has been pretty good as well. There hasn't been a lot of error disposal. We didn't see a lot of turnover in the early stages of the game. So it's pretty hard to pressure when you're controlling the ball.
Collingwood doing a job on the Premiers at home by 47 points. Allen with a little toe poke. McCreary streaks after it. Back to side bottom. Now to Goey. Busy late. Myercheck. A couple with Brody this evening. Dacos is up to 34 disposals. Neil leads Brisbane with 24.
End zone.
So it's down towards Elliott. Good grab though, standing up strong. Deep in defence is Payne.
Leicester.
Outside 5. Play on.
The young man in Marshall gets another disposal. Time to Frampton. Too strong on that occasion. Another chance for Collingwood to pump it in. Signals long, and that's the direction he kicks it. Straight and true in the Elliott direction. He's caught at the back. Payne, the side. Wilmot has a bounce. Takes on Hoskin Elliott. Did pretty well in the end to Andrews, who spots Dunkley at half back. So less than 5 to play. Dunkley's kick looking for McInerney. Gets the half volley. Through the middle they go. Berry, Marshall, Answorth. Out to Leicester. The game's really opened up now. Some fatigue setting in. Marshall blazing along the wing to Cameron. Couldn't quite with the one hand, and then it ricocheted off his foot. Dacos's handball back towards the pack. Frampton back to Dacos. Good as always. Lipinski's hands. Allen. They can raffle it now and have a little job together if they like. Lipinski inboard. Long. Plenty of gaps opening up. Allen. He looks further ahead, and there was no one really to kick it to, and in a bit of a panic, it's a Mun kick into the first row.
It's a bit of razzle-dazzle with the hands there for Collingwood, just prepared to take risks and put them into contested situations and then back themselves to win it. Nick Dacos handball in particular.
Wilmot on the outer side. Squares it back to centre-half back. Zorko. Kick with a great deal of confidence. Answorth made it a touch better than it was. Brings down Chris. Rise the tackle. By hand, Josh Dacos. Cox back to Josh. Now Allen. Progresses it by foot to Lipinski.
Outside 5.
Dacos brothers combine.
That's in line.
Certainly the last bit of the game, Nick's been playing. Nick Dacos has been playing the got a part of their back six mostly.
They look like they've pretty much gone into possession mode. They're happy to soak up as much of the clock as they possibly can. If they're going to kick, they'll kick long to contest. If they can't find that uncontested mark, so that if Brisbane want to get the ball back, they're going to have to press up and force the kick over the top.
So Collingwood's opposition in the big Anzac Day clash play tomorrow. The West Coast doubleheader. Fox, of course, North and Carlton preceding that. McCreary's long ball. Big stay with a big lead. It's going to be a free kick, advantage paid. It's all yours, Bobby. It's all yours. He's kicked two. It's been pretty emphatic stuff tonight, Nathan Buckley.
It has, and Collingwood have really maintained excellent composure as McStay comes off after landing after a fair fly. But they've maintained their composure. There was a lot of niggle in the game there. Late in the second, early in the third, there was probably a clash of knees with Jamie Elliott, who was the one that was given the free kick for being worked into the contest. But yeah, whether it's been fast play, slow play, with the ball in hand.
We take you back, Nathan. We're going way back to round 3, June 3, 2006. This is Scott Pendlebury's first goal. It was given to him by Nathan Buckley. So this is way back between the two sides. June 3, 2006. Levi Ashcroft was born on December 18 that year. So about 5 months later, Bucks, I don't know how old that makes you feel or Scott feel. And this is just a little quirk for you to finish off the night. Fine pass though, Nathan.
It was. Just the Ashcroft boys have got the mains going, haven't they? There's a few impressive moments there.
2 minutes left. McInerney throws it on the boot. Punched away. There's Will Ashcroft's kick inside 50, cut off by Quaynor. As they run out the last 2 minutes, Maynard to Nick Dacos. The Collingwood supporters on their feet. And why not? They're celebrating 37 disposals for their champ. That kick marked by Payne. Inboard, Berry through the centre circles. Cameron plays on with a darting ball in the Morris direction, but there to beat him was Howe and out.
Jeremy, he has a different player now. He's not the big intercept player that he's been throughout the majority of his career, but he's hard to beat, and he positions so well. He's the general of that back six.
39 mark of the Year nominations in his career. So hopefully he's got a couple more of those left in him. Josh Dacos and those fancy boots we talked about. This man does take intercept for fun. Harris Andrews has tried his hardest tonight. Skip to Dunkley.
Play on yours, kick, pay it.
Possession 21. Down the line, McInerney. Back to Neil. He's at 25. Squeezing it inboard. Buried. Hey.
Thanks, here. Stay, please. Right out.
Get to your trust.
5 metres behind him now. Just get out, please.
Sell out here, so you want to go around your mate's place. Get any seat you can to watch the Lions. Berry spent his third term shadowing Nick Dacos. Kept him with 6 disposals for the term. Did kick a goal in it though. Some late joy from Brisbane. One of those nights for the Lions. Another disposal from Josh Dacos. Maynard takes a strong grab. He smiles for McRae and the Pies. Collingwood come to Brisbane. They snap a 10-game Brisbane winning streak. The Dacos boys delightful in Brisbane. Collingwood won their last 5. And they do a massive job on Brisbane at the Premier's Fortress by 52 points. Collingwood by 10 at quarter time, 19 at half time, 42 at 3/4 time. In the end, 52-point winners, so they win every quarter. Nick Dacos, 8 clearance, 38 disposals, 6 inside 50s, 1 goal. His brother with 30 disposals. They were the headline acts. But Collingwood have come up to Brisbane and had a convincing win. There was talk, Lee Matthews, about a second half revival from Brisbane, but the black and white just did not give them any opportunity.
No, it was about a really impressive performance. I mean, yeah, the Lions sort of had a little bit of a crack there the first 5 or 10 minutes of the third quarter, but Collingwood held them off and then sort of went right away with it. They're very impressive at the moment, and one of the things that they did really well in that premiership year was actually make it hard for the opposition to move the ball into the attacking areas. Like Lynchy was mentioned, it was so obvious that they just make sure you can't get back into the centre square from the back 50. So whenever Lions players looked up, there was just nothing on in the centre square. They had to go wide, and the Collingwood transition of players to make sure there was no easy exits was just outstanding.
Alistair Lynch.
Thanks, Howie. The boys up in the commentary box was just talking about how good a win it was, but you stopped Brisbane's ball movement and stopped them getting into the corridor. Obviously a plan.
Yeah, definitely. I think they love to get uncontested marks and then start-ups from that. So it was big on the forwards to take away those, defend the ground in our half. I felt like we did that for the majority of the night. Our backs stood up really well as well when they did get through. And then going back the other way offensively, we were able to put scoreboard pressure on.
And at half-time, looked like they fought back really well in clearances especially. What was the message from Fly?
It was our pressure. Our pressure was really low. We're a little bit unpredictable with our long down the lines to our keys. And probably our area wasn't good enough. So once we took away the uncontested marks a little bit, we got our pressure up, ball going our way. We wanted to keep the ball going forward, because if we got out the back, their forwards are so fast, so dangerous. So that was a big key.
And it looked like on the back of that clearance elevation in the third quarter, the quality of ball coming inside 50 really improved and started marking the ball in forward half.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a hard one because you want to attack the last line, but at the same time, when teams flood so defensively, you want to lower eyes as well. But there's risk in that. If you turn that ball over, especially against a team like Brisbane, they're going to bounce so quickly. So you got to find the right balance, and decision making is big on that. And I feel like for the majority of the night, we made the right decisions.
Yeah, well, outstanding performance tonight. Now on to you, 200 games. What's it mean to you? Obviously, special to have family up here, and at times, I'm sure through your career, you thought you probably weren't going to get there.
Yeah, I'll keep this short. But yeah, I've got family and friends here that made it up. I know a couple of mates that drove up, so they'll be feeling it. But look, it's more for the people that have supported me along the way and made my journey a lot easier. It's less about me. It's more a celebration of those people that helped me along the way. So it's good that I can share a win with them. So I'm looking forward to celebrating with him.
You look like you're still loving your footy, though, importantly.
I love footy, mate. It's so good. I mean, we get to play in front of the biggest crowd, especially with Collingwood. It's special. And tonight's no different. Away is a sellout crowd as well. So we appreciate the fans that turn up every week. And we look forward to next week.
Congratulations on your first 200 games. Good luck for what's coming in the future. Everyone loves watching you play, so congratulations.
Thank you. Cheers.
A great interview with Alistair Lynch and a very humble Nathan Jamie Elliott.
Yeah, he's beauty. And there's no doubt he want to shine a light on, as he just said, the people that have supported him along the way. He, for the flamboyant style that he plays in his football, it's not the way that he carries himself in private.
More from Alistair Lynch.
Thanks, Howie. Now, we were just trying to get a word out of Jamie Elliott and trying to celebrate his 200 games. He didn't give us much. He's a pretty humble man.
Nah, very humble. So we were just speaking about we love him so much and been a champion player for our club, and so awesome to celebrate him here tonight.
Yeah, and he looks like he's got a few family and friends up there. It must be one of those excitement reels that you saw probably during the week of his 200 games. Would have been exciting to watch.
Yeah, Fly showed it yesterday in our team meeting room, and it's pretty amazing. A lot of the boys walking away saying it's best highlight reel they've seen. So he's just a special player, special human, and we're super grateful to have him.
As a team, you had some great highlights tonight. You would have been wrapped with, especially the second half. A tough contest in the first half, but to run away from the top 10 on the ladder would have been pleasing.
Yeah, absolutely. They're having such a good start to the season, and we knew it was sort of going to be tough for them. They're coming off a 5-day break and had to really fight for their win last week against the Doggies. So we just wanted to keep running. We're able to do that tonight, and it's a real fortress here. Their crowd gets into it, and it's tough to play up here. So it's awesome when you walk away with 4 points.
In saying that, you've rolled the lines the last 4 times. What is it? You obviously come to the stadium where you're playing with some confidence.
Yeah, we prep ourselves for these really big games, and they're a quality team, and we want to match it with them. So it's great to do that tonight.
And your own performance, you had the hard tag for the third quarter. How do you evolve your role when you get someone locking down like Jared Berry?
Yeah, we sort of welcome it as a team. We feel like it releases a number of our players, and especially when I can sort of play multiple positions, we feel like it sort of ties them in knots. So we're happy for it.
Well, congratulations on a great performance personally and as a team. Outstanding.
Thanks, Lynchy. Appreciate it.
Great to hear from Nick Dacos, 7-time All-Australian Nathan Buckley, and Hall of Fame legend Lee Matthews will steer you through to the song as Brisbane depart, and then Sarah Jones, another Hall of Fame legend, Jason Dunstall, Lee Montagna and David King will have the laptop out crunching all the numbers to get you through well and truly into the evening.
Though interesting words, I reckon, from Nick Dacos about, okay, if you're getting tagged, he's got half a dozen possessions when he was getting 10 a quarter. But that's why coaches don't tag easily, because your whole systems get messed up if you're just one of your players is just following round one of the opposition players. And so Nick faded out of the game a little in the third quarter with the tag of Jared Berry, but Collingwood as a team completely exploded.
What type of systems go wrong when you're dedicating one player to a job like that?
I think it's more the positioning of where others have to go. Like wherever Nick goes, well, Jared Berry's going to go with him. So a Brisbane player has to disappear from that particular area, whether it's the centre square or whether it's wing or whether it's halfback. And that's why it's not as simple as it sounds to stick someone on him. Don't body to body. Don't let him get the ball, because you do mess up the other teams what they particularly want to do with their positioning bucks. You've obviously been through that, so you've coached it and seen it.
Well, you can, once again, the aggressor is the person getting tagged. You can position yourself wherever you would like, and that'll be to your team's advantage and the opposition's disadvantage. And whether it's related or not, Harris Andrews got caught off the field for 5 or 6 minutes in the third quarter. And whether that was because Jared Berry was moving around and rotations were changed, we won't know that intimately. But
it's not as simple, is it? It's not as simple.
It wasn't as well organised for Brisbane because they were being dictated to. So what they gained in one area, they lost in plenty of others.
It's the other side of the equation, though, which is why don't they tag him? Why don't they sit in it? Because it's not as simple as that in terms of what it does to your own team.
See Darcy Moore there, just had a bit of a patch on his ear where he had that nasty contact with a teammate's knee. Hopefully, Nathan, he has passed any concussion protocol. One, for his health, which is most important, as they celebrate Jamie Elliott, carried off in front of his mum there. You can see her in the background. and his sister with the phone taking the video. A fine 200 for the showman, Jamie Elliott.
Great for Jamie Elliott, but great for Collingwood with the Darcy Moore. He's in good enough shape to do the carry-off. He looks like he's fine.
Yeah, that looks positive for Anzac Day.
You'd think so, yeah. You'd think so on that look.
Just on Collingwood's performance, yeah, they were able to kick 100 points and keep their opposition to 53. So that's Brisbane 53, Sydney 78, Carlton 46 points total, Western Bulldogs 70, Port Adelaide 45 before that. So GWS got to the 100 against them in that round 0 win. But since then, their defensive consistency, they'll look at all the other elements of the game, the contest, the offence, the structure, the efficiency that they're playing with. But, geez, if you can defend like that and unpack an opposition, you're going to be in a lot of games, whether you're playing well or you're not. If this defensive juggernaut that's being created at the moment, these numbers are going to be unpacked, and it's going to challenge a lot of good ball-moving teams.
So a 10-game winning streak, including a premiership. Last team to beat Collingwood, to beat Brisbane was Collingwood by a point, and they managed to do it tonight comfortably by 52, winning every quarter to celebrate Jamie Elliott, who kicked a couple in game number 200.
This is Thursday Night Footy on Fox, brought to you by the new Ranger plug-in hybrid. A sensational win by the Collingwood Football Club, their 4th in a row over the Brisbane Lions. That was sensational right from the get-go. We've got so much coming up on our post-game show. We're going to chat to Jack Crisp, who on Anzac Day will equal the great Jim Stynes for the most consecutive games in AFL history, which is extraordinary. We'll have Chiefs trivia, and John Ralph will check in with us with the latest on Darcy Moore. But we really do need to celebrate the Pies, Jace, because they were brilliant right from the beginning of this match.
It's an impressive win. When you look at the way they defended, you look at the way they dominated contested possession around the stoppages, you look at the way they ran and spread, the work rate was brilliant, and they owned the corridor. It was actually a really comprehensive victory. I find it hard to pick fault with anything that they did.
I love teams that are strong without the footy, and if you're looking for an indicator for success, that's it. 37 inside 50s they've allowed the Brisbane Lions tonight, which is their lowest for about 150 games. So that's a smashing. Now, how they did it, we can break down the mechanics of that, guarding corridor and all those sorts of things. But when we talk about how experienced this group is, Joey, I think you can pull levers with a group like this that you can't with young groups. So I think there's an asset here that Craig McRae is leaning into rather than shying away from, and saying, hey, let's try and, not having to educate players, but let's try and do some different things defensively to get this sort of outcome. It's a brilliant performance.
Well, they're probably the smartest footy team in the comp going back 2 or 3 years ago, and now they're just even more experienced. But for me, it is shades of 2023. I'm seeing that when I look at this Collingwood side. It looks like the team that won the premiership a couple of seasons ago, with the way they're able to bounce it and handball from half back, the way they're able to be really stingy defensively, the X factor in their forward half, and a midfield group that are going really well at the moment, so with a few new additions in there as well. So I just love the way they're going about it. They are formidable at the moment.
So it's 5 in a row. I think we can definitely say that opening round shocker against the Giants was an aberration.
Yep, absolutely. They've had that one out the way. Hopefully that's their only one. We saw last year every team had one of those games, and maybe for the Pies it was just the start.
All right, we're going to head into the rooms because Jack Crisp joins us on Fox Footy Thursday Night Footy. Jack, thanks so much for your time. What a win. I mean, to come up to the Gabba and be able to produce that against the reigning premiers. You played magnificent football. What's the most pleasing aspect of that?
Yeah, thanks for that. I feel like it was a good full-quarter performance, I guess, and then being on the road for just over a week, 2 away trips could be challenging if you look at it that way. But I think we had a fantastic week prepping away from the football club, and then guys coming in to play tonight for, I think it was, Coxie came in, and then Sal come out, Geordie come in. They played pivotal roles, so it doesn't matter who was coming in. Everyone was really connected on field.
Congratulations, Jack. I agree. It was a dominant team effort that really got the points tonight. I think that's 4 in a row against Brisbane. What is it about that matchup that suits the way you guys play?
I don't know. I think they had the wood over us for a while before we won the last few. But it probably plays into our style a little bit. Same as Sydney last week. We knew both teams like uncontested footy and to control the game a bit. And what we're really strong at the moment is our team defence and staying connected and forcing opposition to kick long down the line. And then, we can flow off that.
That's where I want to start with your team defence. I thought it was terrific again tonight. The numbers reflect your dominance across the competition. Best team without the football the first 5 or 6 weeks so far in 2025. Did you set this as a plan? Is this a conscious decision from Craig McRae to get away from the explosive offensive game and go back to being stingy?
Yeah, well, we always pride ourselves on being a strong defensive unit, and then obviously we spoke about how our offence can flow off that. But you've got to get the defence right. You've got to set the field up. And then if we're doing that defensively, like if we get our bodies right, defensively, then they're already in the right spots for offence, and we can kind of flow with our hands or by kicking, just make the ground big. So, a lot of work goes into it. But, everyone's been really diligent in their role.
We're just talking about it. It feels like I'm watching. It looks like the shades of 2023 about the way you're playing. Can you compare teams and years? How does it feel compared to the premiership side of a couple of years ago? Would you say it's a different team, a different style, or is it feeling like it's very similar?
Well, to be honest, there's obviously a lot of similarities. It was only a couple of years ago, but we're just probably fine-tuning a lot of different areas. I think, obviously don't want to look back at it too much, but we came from behind a lot back in 2023. This year we seem to be playing 4 quarters of consistent football and giving ourselves a really good chance to win games strongly and run games out really strong and not giving opposition a head start.
You can see the love in the group, Jack. We'll talk about your upcoming milestone shortly, but a man played his 200th game tonight in Jamie Elliott. I think he means a lot to the group too, doesn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he missed all of 2016 and I think it was nearly all of 2018 with back and hamstring issues. He's definitely done it the hard way. He's very quiet and reserved, and he just looked at me and gave me a smile then. But he's a great fella. He means a lot to the team. He competes hard. We know what we're going to get every week from him, and he leads well in the forward line.
So, Jack, Anzac Day just around the corner, the biggest home and away game on the football calendar, but it holds extra significance for you. 244 consecutive games equaling the late, great Jim Steins. What will that mean to you? What's the secret to your longevity? And do you wrap yourself in cotton wool for a few days just to make sure you get there?
It's the best game of the year by far. But, as you said, it's going to be extra special, I guess, this week. I don't know. It obviously means a lot. When you grow up, all you wanted to do is play AFL football as a kid. And then I was able to live out that dream early days. And then with Collingwood, got that opportunity to play some consistent football, and Bucks had faith in me obviously from the start as well, and then here we are 10 years later still going. So I put a lot of work into what I do with the football club, obviously, because you've got to play consistent football to keep going. I do put a lot of work into my body off the field as well, and then I've got great support at home with my wife and the kids, so they help me mentally switch off, and then that makes a massive difference.
There's always one, Jack. Who's the one player you have to avoid on the training track this week that is capable of putting you out of the game?
I'm going to go with Ned Long. He trains the way he plays, a million miles an hour. I think he took Geordie out earlier in the year. That's why he was out with his sore knee. And I might just avoid him for the week.
Tell us, how close did you ever come to missing a game? Have you got a story about one time where it was you were inches away from not playing or minutes away? How close have you come?
I wouldn't say, I don't know, not minutes and stuff. I think I played crook a couple of times, but I think the main one for me was back in 2018. After the season started in 2018, I found out I had a little stress fracture on my lower back, and I heard it, and I think it was in the first final, so I was able to get through. Then I didn't run for 3 months after that, and I had a hip operation at the same time, so I was pretty wounded then. But other than that, had me calf niggles, hammy niggles here and there, but you get through.
Jack, this is not a financial decision because back in the day with the old contracts, you used to get match payments. I know it's changed a little bit now, and I reckon Brent Harvey played 300 games on match payments and refused to miss a game, had to keep those checks rolling in. Are you a bit the same?
No match payments. I love the game. I love it. I love what I do. To be still living out my childhood dream in year year 14, I think it is at the moment. It's pretty surreal. And yeah, I'd love to keep playing as long as I can. So if I keep playing some good football, I might have to hit up Charlie Gardner and Ed Kelly and try and get myself another contract.
How much of it is luck, do you think, and how much of it is good management and good professionalism off field?
Look, you probably say obviously a little luck goes into football every game, but I don't shy away from changing anything. With occasions coming up, I still go hard at the footy. I do everything I do, like fly the ball in the air, go hard at the ground. But my main stuff is probably my preparation that I put in. It's like a lot of individual muscle groups that I work on with my hip, my back, my calves, Achilles, my feet. Every training, before training, every day before a game, like 3-4 times a week.
Do you feel like, Jack, that the age of this group and the experience in this group is an advantage on the competition?
Well, yeah, it definitely could be. Like you can see, we've all been. This is the very similar team we had a couple of years ago, and then like 5 years ago as well. So we've all played a lot of big games, a lot of big finals, and we've got probably that core group still together. So it definitely helps in the late moments of the games, late in quarters, and we've trained that really well over the last couple of years with Fly. It's been probably a big factor in a lot of our wins, being able to play to the last second.
Jack, congratulations on the win tonight and also the incredible milestone that you will achieve on Anzac Day. We look forward to covering that one on Fox Footy, and have a great week. Soak it up and enjoy all the build-up to the special milestone.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Well done. It is extraordinary when you think about it, just to be able to have, a little bit of luck at times, but that professionalism to make sure you get your body to the line, playing through illnesses, etc.
Yeah, it was a great insight. You've got to have the resilience to play through injury and illness, but you've got to have a little bit of luck, but also he's put in the preparation. But it's just ironic, wasn't he? He was talking about Jamie Elliott. He's played his 200th game after 15 years in the system, and he's had 244 straight, so credit to him.
He must have avoided scans. Because he talked about calf niggles and hamstring niggles.
Yeah.
If you had scans and they showed a little nick, he'd get ruled out. So you must just avoid them.
Amazing. If you've got those guys at your football club, you put their magnet up every week, what it can do for the rest of your group. I think it's underrated what durability for 4, 5, 6 different players. I mean, Sidebottom plays every week. Pendlebury plays every week. Chris plays every week. They just fill in the edges more often than not and playing players when they're actually ready for senior footy, not rushing them because of injury to the stars or the ageing types.
My pop held the record at Essendon for a long time of 133 games, so consecutive, nowhere near that. But what stopped him in the end was he was a butcher by trade, and a big thing of hot water in the butcher shop went on his leg and scalded him, and that's what stopped his thing. So the fact that professional players now, Joey, they can just focus on getting their bodies right, perhaps these records are,
continue to fall.
A
lot of players are playing well into their 30s, and no better example than this Collingwood side.
And Scott Pendlebury's probably a good one to learn some professionalism from. Kingy, the defence of Collingwood tonight, that has won the night, the fly trap.
Yeah.
It's impressive stuff.
These are just the numbers, and you can see there, 85 point. You put something similar to this on the radar with Melbourne a couple of weeks ago, Joey. 16 and a draw when they keep the teams or their opposition to less than 85 points, 53 tonight. I mean, they've got an average of 66 points against them this year. I mean, if they hold that, they probably hold the cup. It's as simple as that. Last year, it was up around 85. So that's a 3-goal improvement defensively. That is huge. Hard to qualify. And when you see what it does to the opposition and just how frustrated they get when they can't move the ball. Here's Darcy Wilmot. Where am I going? I want to go. I need to pull the trigger. We want to play fast. Slaps his thighs. I've got nowhere to go. This just fuels itself. And Collingwood say, right, we've got him. We've got him where we want him. Let's hem him into the boundary line. They're going to want that short one. Bang. We're in and onto him. And that was probably the story of the night. It wasn't a high turnover game. It wasn't a high pressure game. It was a large game of chess. And Collingwood just had all the destinations covered. It wasn't source pressure. It was where do you want to kick the ball? Because we've got it covered. And I thought they did it brilliantly, and there's a lot of coaching goes into that. And a lot of man hours behind the scenes to get this right. But when you see it like this, to only concede 37 inside 50s, I'll say it again, that's their lowest for the Brisbane Lions for 6 years of footy.
All right, folks, there we go. That is game, set, match. The Magpies, big winners by 52 points over the Brisbane Lions, 16-9, 105, 7-11, 53. Well done, the Pies. Hope everyone enjoyed the live tonight, the coverage of the game. Of course, tomorrow, North Melbourne taking on Carlton, 3:20 p.m. West Coast taking on Essendon, 6 o'clock. Fantastic. All right, folks, that's it. I'm over and out. Ciao for now. We'll see you at the next game.